97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Hope you're well. Happy Ballsmick Wednesday to you and yours. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do miss something, remember this. We got you covered always as we post the program in its entirety. As soon as it ends, you can go find it on iTunes pretty shortly after it ends. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it in our own audio vault. You can always email us if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Hello, YouTubers. Thank you also for watching on Periscope.
I have a funny story about the podcast after you're done setting it up. Yeah.
All right. Email away, jcs@979espnradio.com. I don't know what WTSM app. Yep. I always forget the I don't always forget it. I don't give myself enough credit. I frequently remember the WTSM app. Use the WTSM app. It's free. Free is good. All right. Now we're into the show. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I got an email today from a listener who said, I'm having some trouble pulling up the RSS feed, the RSS page for the podcast. It won't load. And so I said, all right, let me give it a try. I did. Had the same problem. And so I reached out to the support team, and they just gave me an answer. And they said, well, here's why it's not loading.
The legendary support team.
Yes. So the support team responded. They said, well, it will load. It just takes a while because you have over 4,000 episodes of the Jeff Cameron Show on that feed.
Man, we're going back a ways.
So we're going to the beginning in 2012.
We got to chop it.
So they said, can we put a number on that? I said, sure, if you create an archive feed. But that thing could take you all the way back in time to our first show, the Camathon over here. Yeah, that's right. The 8-hour show we did.
8 hours of radio.
That Greg Reed ruined because we had a lot of interviews lined up.
He didn't ruin it. I mean, Greg even spoke to me. Remember that? I was talking to him minutes before the show was to air for the first time after 6 months of consulting, Tom. I was so excited and inspired to be back on the air. I had been away during the big run from Florida State basketball in which they won the ACC tournament and, of course, beat Duke on the road.
He wanted to come on the air.
He did want to come on the air.
He was prepared to come on the air.
Well, and actually, a little peek behind the curtains here. Greg, it's worked out well for him, you know. I mean, I'm excited for him. I was worried about the direction his life was going, and we root for kids to do well. You're not rooting for anybody to fail. And even when they screw up when they're here, you don't want to see a guy's life ruined. You want to see him get it turned around. I mean, look, depending on your upbringing, the role models you had or didn't have growing up, the influence on a day-to-day basis from others, your financial situation, your family's history. I mean, you could find yourself in a real bind, and you can make some really poor decisions. You could have been surrounded by toxic masculinity and not known the right way to go. And so I'm always, and as I get older, I think about these elements, these things, and I always root for these guys to get it right. And then there are the guys that you go, I'm rooting for him, but he ain't going to get it right. This is never going to work out, and that's going to be a sad, cautionary tale. And I'll be honest with you, I thought Greg Reed was a prime candidate to be that cautionary tale, that he was going to be the guy that you thought, man, we had this guy. You'd be telling young Knowles, you know, guys that come to school in the next 5 or 6 years that really don't have a frame of reference to him, right? And you'd say, this is a kid that could make you miss in a phone booth, man. He was undersized but quick as lightning and really about the best special teams player we've had, not named Dion or Peter Warwick, right? We would be talking about guys like that. And then we would always have to follow it up with, unfortunately, made some poor choices, was in love with the weed, got thrown to the curb after many transgressions, and turned to a life of crime and ended up in prison. You know, like that we've seen this play out time and again at institutions across America. And I thought he was that guy. I thought he was on that path. But then, you know, if you've done any follow-up with him and you realize that he got his life straightened out and that some people came into his life to help it get straightened out, man, he's doing great things. I'm excited for him.
When I was really worried for Greg was, when he went to whatever it was, Valdosta or whatever community college he was in. He got hurt, and then
wouldn't pay for his medical. And
well, the medical that he did get, the surgery he got, did not take.
No.
And if he were here, it would have most certainly been okay.
Yeah, you would think.
If you suffered a similar injury. I mean, you know, nobody's perfect. No outpatient institute or whatever is perfect. But you would think given that we've got TOC here, and that's a free plug for them.
Probably would have worked out better.
It probably would have been okay. Yeah, and I thought at that point, oh, my God. So not only did you get kicked out on your own, volition, on your own record, then you get a little unlucky that now you have substandard, medical care compared to top flight Division I football.
Big time college football program, sure. And so I bring all of that up to say this. I guess that day we were coming back on the air. It's interesting. I didn't know we had an archive that dated back to 2012 for people on that RSS feed.
Well, it's about to get chopped off.
Yeah, well, archived is what it's about to get done to. I get what? Anyhow, that said, he was talking to me minutes before we came on the air that day for the 8-hour Camathon, and he was desperate to come on and apologize to Florida State fans. And that's where I was going with that story. He was incredibly charismatic. And you didn't know whether you were being taken for a ride or not. Every time he would talk to me, I'd think, okay. I'm sure you said all of this to the Fishers as well. Jimbo loved that kid, and Jimbo and Candy did a lot for him in their efforts to try to get him.
He was with Candy in the stands for the national title game.
Right. And so, but I always wondered, well, he's smooth, but every time you want to trust the guy, he screws up. So I don't know, but it's worked out.
He was always super nice on the beat. I was really green.
Yeah, man.
He and Xavier Rhodes were both awesome to me, so I'll never forget that.
Well, and he was part of eventually an ascension for the program. Eventually we got there. He bailed us out more times than we can count in games that would have been embarrassing losses, including Mickey Andrews' last game as a coach here, half-empty stands, and he bailed us out in special teams against Maryland, right? So, that guy, plus he's responsible for that hit against South Carolina.
Oh my God!
Which is I can watch
that was on
that
Lattimore before Lattimore had the infamous injury. Yeah.
Well, and it was something almost got me kicked out of the press box.
Yeah, you were in the press box. I was down sitting below with my family who got some corporate tickets on the 40, and I believe was it Kendall Smith who picked that up and was running 50, 60 yards going the other way.
I wish Greg had picked it up because he'd been gone. But what I will tell you is this. As that hit happened, and I did what you would want to do, and you see a Noel deliver a hit like that, and there was a whoa moment there in the box. That's frowned upon, guys. It's very unprofessional on my part, but I was inspired. He went 0 to 60 very quickly, and the man was lifeless. It was a beautiful, beautiful hit.
That was a game and a half for Greg because he had to go up against Alshon Jeffrey.
Yes, he did. And
his
he
dad
was
in the stands. Yeah, remember his dad got out of prison.
And I remember saying, is there a way we can keep his dad out of prison and come to every game moving forward? Because, my God, was he a man possessed.
Because Garcia, that was really an intersectional time in college football because you got Spurrier on the other sidelines and Stephen Garcia.
Drunk-ass Stephen Garcia, baby. Drunk-ass Stephen Garcia.
He targeted Jeffrey that night it was at least a dozen times. It was a ridiculous amount. And so the raw numbers for Alshon are pretty good.
Yards. Yeah,
but if you look at the targets,
he didn't.
Greg did a great job that night.
Well, and given the serious disadvantage that Greg Reed would be at against an Alshon Jeffrey, I mean, that's the problem with being a short corner. You may be the quickest guy in the world. You can flip your hips and run for days. You can react and stop on a dime. If you're 5'8", you're 5'8". It doesn't matter. We're just going to chuck it up over here, and you're done.
That was also the game that Ponder suffered a concussion.
Yes, he did.
Going in to score.
And then we ran the next play, and he was just a woozy, floppity mess. It was a disaster.
4th and goal. It's a run, goal line formation, and we release, I think it's Lonnie, who was a little fullback.
Would have been
flat.
A touchdown. Would have a little touchdown.
Everybody's hands are in the air.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a touchdown.
Threw it short because he was
spikes
concussed.
It, and he takes his helmet off going to the sidelines, and he looks confused.
I thought he looked dead. I'm like, he's dead on his feet. Oh, good Lord. We're doing a little chapter of what was because nobody cares about what is right now.
No,
that's the hard part.
No.
Hey, they played baseball last night. Guess what? They lost. Shocking, I know. That stinks on a night in which Lonnie Alameda threw out the first pitch, right?
So what are you talking about, man? Don't go playing jokes.
Same thing I'm always talking about when we play baseball these days. They played better. They walk 47 people.
Seems like when we pitch better, the bats go quiet, and when we, don't pitch so well, the bats are fine, but they're not enough.
Yeah, we don't
It's not complimentary baseball.
Complimentary baseball is
Yeah.
not a thing right now, although that's really never a thing. If you could always hit when you wanted to hit, you would. And if you could pitch well when you needed to pitch well, you would. It's just...
But there is something to a little bit of ham and egg, right? Especially you're playing the golf course. You guys know, golfers out there.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. And now they go down to Miami. I don't know. I mean...
Who knows? Maybe it's the get-right turning point in a 40-win season.
The news of the day involves Xavier Peters, temporarily suspended. He's a guy that many of us thought might very well be the leading, if you would, quarterback sacker for this team. Quarterback sacker.
Sack lunch.
He would be the sack specialist.
The sack man.
He'd be the guy that provided pressure off the edge. Anyhow, the point would be he's suspended. And I don't know why, and he's not been kicked off the team. It's never good news that you got a guy suspended. But does it feel like, I'm speculating, don't hold me to this, I don't know anything firm here, just feels a little bit like weed.
It can get high for you.
Just feels a little bit like maybe we got a little weed issue going on here.
It can get high for you.
Maybe medicinal purposes.
We can only hope at this point because suspension,
Achy joints.
That's the best case scenario, isn't it?
I've got a cramp. I've got a frog in my thigh.
It would be what? Not going to class or not showing up for a meeting or weed. Like those are the misdemeanors, if you will, within the constructs of violation of team rules.
My shoulders are sore. Got to hit the medicinal.
It can get high for you.
So I don't know. I don't know, but that's what it feels like. I could be completely mistaken. He might have just been late. He could have just showed up late to something. That seems to get people suspended all the time, whether it's your work, my work, anybody. You show up late, there are repercussions. I don't know. Maybe he was late. Maybe he was late because he was high. Who knows? You can do it.
I can't. The thing crapped out on me.
It's like,
It
that's
got
too
too
much.
high.
It's like
The
too many
computer's
times.
like, what?
All right.
Can we get some food? Anybody? I don't have any cash. Can I bum it off
Float
you?
me a little something over here. We're starving to death. Florida State will take on Georgia. Unfortunately, it won't be next year or even the year after, but it's a good thing, and I'm going to talk about it next. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9, ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Will benefit the FSU Autism Institute. For more information, please visit fsucard.com. 97.9 ESPN Radio is a proud partner of the Kicking It for Autism Soccer Clinic.
The madness is coming to the corner pocket.
They're in trouble. Desperation. Yes!
Choose the place with Tallahassee's best TVs. The Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall. 8 50-inch crystal clear flat screens. You won't miss a second of the action. Corner Pocket's your headquarters for the most watched sporting event in America.
For the win! Good! He did it! A miracle!
Delicious food, the best drink specials. Connect to their free Wi-Fi and keep up with your bracket. From the opening tip to the cutting of the nets. Come see why Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Oh my goodness!
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Kraft Nissan has $5,000 off all Altimas in stock with over 75 to choose from. Plus 0% for 36 months, 2.9% for 60 months, or 3.9% for 72 months. You get both $5,000 off and the special interest rate of your choice. Camry, Accord, Sonata, and Fusion can't touch that. And at Kraft Nissan, you can lease the 2019 Altima for $339 a month total payment. That's $339 per month with no money down. Your payment includes tax. This is a true sign and drive. Leave your checkbook at home. All you need is your pen, and you drive home in a new 2019 Altima for $339. And we even make your first payment. Don't want to lease? Prices start at just $19,995, and you get 0% interest. It's Nissan's March corporate year-end at Kraft Nissan, and we're all about Altima. With $5,000 off all Altimas, and you get 0% interest. You get both. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Prices include dealer preparation charge, $339 payment for 36 months through NMAC with approved credit.
FSU football is returning.
Touchdown FSU!
But before their drive to build a new winning season, Doak After Dark returns with another amazing concert. Classic hits from the 90s hit the stage again as MC Hammer brings his epic throwback party.
Stop! Hammer time!
Also featuring Tone Loc and Color Me Bad, the biggest hits of a generation. See the concert after the FSU spring game Saturday, April 6th. Hammer's House Party Live. Get your tickets now at Seminoles.com.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Save the dates. Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop has rounded up some big names for the second annual Cigar Festival, April 11th through 13th. Meet Rainier Lorenzo of HVC Cigars, Danny DeFabio of Rodriguez Cigars, and Carson Sereno, owner of Sereno Cigars. Walk away with free cigars, great swag, and memories to last a lifetime. The second annual Cigar Festival is at Jerry's Cigars, April 11th, 12th, and 13th. Find out more at jerryscigarshop.com. Tallahassee's #1 destination for cigars.
I don't hunt eggs, I hunt deals. And at Family Dollar, I find them everywhere. This week, pop in for Easter candy and basket stuffers. New spring fashions are buy one, get one half off. And Coca-Cola 12 packs are 3 for $10. Plus, check out huge savings at the Red Tag clearance event, where thousands of items are marked way below our regular prices. So hop on over and get your basket full of Easter savings at Family Dollar.
Hendrick.
It's the one race that everyone wins. The first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. So start your engines, the gas, and save big. Shop our huge selection of Buick and GMC cars, trucks, and SUVs, and get the biggest savings of the year. Join the race that everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
Chuck Oliver here, and Tallahassee, let's talk college football in the South. Join me every weekday at 1 p.m. right here for wall-to-wall coverage of every big program in the region. Whether it's the ACC or SEC, college football is always on our minds. The conversation happens right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sweet goodbyes when you put me on the Wolverine of doing and there.
So Florida State's going to play Georgia, as I mentioned before the break, and they'll take on the Dogs 2027. Not that far off. I mean, I can remember when they've announced games in the past, and at the time it feels like it's an eternity, right? You're kind of, man, are we ever going to get to that game? Well, most notably, here I've been waiting on that game against Boise forever. Then they took the game away from us here and moved it over to Jacksonville. That I'll live with. As long as they don't take the one in Boise, Idaho, which is the one I want to go to, and I've been wanting to go to. But you remember we were looking at the other place when that was announced.
Yes, we were.
And here we are. It's nearly upon us.
So I will be 41 when that game kicks off. That was the crazy thing. The Georgia game.
Yes. Lord, I was going to say, no, you have not rocketed up towards the 40s that quickly.
No. In Seoul, yes, but yes. In actual age when we played Georgia here in Tallahassee. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, Georgia will come here in 2027. to note, there hasn't been an SEC school here playing a football game at Doak Campbell Stadium on Bobby Bowden Field, not named the University of Florida since 1990. That's ridiculous. And we've always thought, certainly, that it ought not be that way. You've got a lot of, if you think about the SEC's footprint, obviously, melds nicely with the ACC's footprint, and there are schools whose fan bases are duly noted lunatics, and they travel, and they bring energy and excitement, and there is one drawback, certainly, one of many, I suppose, drawbacks to being in the ACC and not the SEC when it comes to football, and one of them is growing attendance issues for games like the ones we play against a Wake Forest or a Duke or a Syracuse or even a Louisville when they're not very good. I mean, there's a lot of teams in this league that, frankly, don't have the cachet and tradition of many of the schools in the SEC. Obviously, the SEC will love to tell you about that, just like the ACC fans like to tell you about it in basketball. But the truth of the matter is, you don't have weekends where your off weekend is Ole Miss rolling into town. With tradition and a lot of alumni and traveling support. You don't have weekends where, maybe a Tennessee comes to town or a Mississippi State comes to town or even a program that's on the rise that seems to be kind of renewed interest in like Kentucky with the job that Stoops is doing. You have a lot of dead weekends. You have weekends where, you know what, the slate is not that inviting. Given Tallahassee and its location and the difficulties reaching the capital city, this sorry-ass airport that we've been plagued with forever and a day, and the lack of flights that are reasonable, people don't come up here to see garbage teams, garbage programs with no energy fan bases that don't travel, return their tickets, etc. They'll come see Georgia. They'll pack them in to come see Georgia. So if you can replace one of those games or at least add to the slate and entice people to come back to Tallahassee, stay for a few nights, energize this city, and go see a good football game between two powerhouse programs or certainly high-profile programs, that is a good thing. And I've wanted to see that for some time now. We're aided by the fact that the playoffs exist. So if you are to drop a game like that, it's not the end of the world as long as you keep it together and emerge as an elite in the ACC, come out of the Atlantic, maybe win the conference title. You can have a couple losses on the ledger and make the playoff. You can have at least a loss on the ledger and make the playoff. So it's not as damning anymore to sign on to a high-profile game like that, especially if you're in a place where maybe you haven't done what you needed to get right for a contest of this magnitude. I can remember having conversations with Jimbo Fisher when he was frustrated with the university, frustrated with the athletic program, who kept pushing him to play these neutral site games for the payoff. And then they were pushing him for other games, and he would say no at the time because he was trying to build the program. And he said, Jeff, it doesn't do you any good to go get your head kicked in by 30 by a program that's 8 years ahead of you or 5 years ahead of you. I'll play those games when we're ready to play those games. And thus he was ready to play Alabama, and it didn't work out, but he was ready to play that game, and it didn't bother him. But I disagreed with him on that, and we used to have actual interesting debates on this issue. I get where you're coming from a recruiting standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, not wanting to get embarrassed on national television. But I think if you're playing a game in an area in which you can recruit, you should sign that deal. And also, it is indeed incentive to get right. I mean, we have more than enough time to get right for Georgia.
It was my understanding that once the program was built, Jimbo didn't like to sign home and homes. I think he liked the neutral site one-offs.
Once it was built, yes.
Once it was built. So I'm glad that we've deviated from that line of thinking. This is in line with the tradition of Florida State, and its program. Clemson has been very, very aggressive in this regard. Sometimes we laughed at them maybe 5-6 years ago and said, what are you guys doing? You're biting off more than you can chew.
And they beat Auburn, and they beat Texas A&M, and they beat whomever they're playing in these games.
Now, you hear it sometimes because of the gregarious nature and the all-shucks way he deals with the media that Dabo is likened to Bobby. There are similarities. Well, there is one thing his program does.
Anytime, anywhere.
Anytime, anywhere. And let's be about that a little bit more because you're right. You got to get butts in seats and you got to get people excited for a schedule or a road trip. I mean, think about the trip we took to Notre Dame. You get to South Bend and it's really crappy, but that's okay. You go see one of the historical places. Yes, it's one of the meccas of the sport. And that travel arrangement that we did, that deal, that is fun. Doing things like that, a group trip is a blast, especially when you're in force with people still wearing the same laundry you are.
Yeah.
So this is what this affords you the opportunity to do, and you could do it in the South. Awesome, man, where college football is really defined.
Yeah, and I remember Florida State LSU, and I can certainly remember some of these great matchups that we talk about. I mean, I certainly remember Florida State Michigan, and I remember Florida State USC going there and coming here. I mean,
you remember all these things. We don't.
Yeah.
My generation, this is a completely foreign thing to my generation. I mean, maybe about if you're 5 years older than me, there may have been a trip here or there.
Yeah.
But Lost Acadians, like the latter part of that lost decade,
well,
we had Oklahoma, and that's about it.
USF.
Oh, well, that you know what? I stand corrected.
I got you, buddy.
Oh, USF going down to Tampa.
Yeah.
What an experience that was.
Enriching. No, I agree. And if you grew up loving college football, most of you within the sound of my voice certainly did. You remember, and if you're older than me, you remember Bobby taking this show on the road and taking on the likes of a Nebraska team that gave their fans giving a standing ovation as we came off the field. You remember Florida State, Oklahoma. You can remember Florida State Pitt back when Pitt was a power. And those are before my time, a little bit before my time. I was a wee little lad. But you remember all of that. And I can remember the ones that came after, which we've talked about, in like I just said, with Florida State and LSU and Florida State and Southern Cal and Florida State and Michigan. And it's just it's kind of what college football is built on. I think as much as you want to have disdain for other programs in the sport and how much you want to beat your rivals and how much you want to be able to pound your chest and say that your program's tradition is greater than that of whomever else's you want to name, you know that one couldn't exist without the other. One of the things that makes college football grand is that schools you don't care about but are part of the bigger picture and part of the greater fabric of college football exist. You're aware of them. You know their traditions. You know their successes. They're great players. They're Hall of Fame coaches. You know who's an alumni from these various schools and different walks of life. That's how you identify a lot of times high-profile people or coaches or players at the next level. Well, I remember when he played at Ohio State. Remember how good he was at Georgia? Remember how good that guy was at Texas? We tend to, as college football fans, remember where a guy played, and we remember what they looked like in that uniform, and we've often thought, wouldn't it be cool to go to a game there? Wouldn't it be nice on a weekend where maybe we're taking on sorry-ass Wake Forest to hop in the car and go see Ohio State and Michigan play, or go see, Texas and Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout? Wouldn't it be great to go catch Oregon State? I think that way, and I think a lot of college football fans think that way, and what these neutral site games have done have removed that. They're cash grabs, and they feel very commercial and sterile. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have fun in those one-offs. I certainly had a great time going to the state of Texas with you, sir, and grilling out with the rented house and making our way over to Jerry's World and watching Florida State and Oklahoma State. But in truth, I would have rather that been a 1-on-1. Let's go there and let's go see T. Boone Pickens' place and let them come here. Just like we did in Norman, Oklahoma, where it was incredible to go out there, watch that game on a beautiful afternoon, even though we got our head kicked in, just to be there and see that and meet those fans and be a part of those traditions and walk that campus. And then to have them come back here in that game that was thrilling. And once again, a game we lost, but probably a game we most remember for Kenny Shaw getting blown the hell up in the end zone. But
man.
That said, that
was a catch.
These are lasting memories. It doesn't happen with a sterile, commercialized environment like Mercedes-Benz Stadium against Alabama or over in Orlando, because you know what, Orlando and
right.
Ole Miss,
those are for bowl games.
Yeah,
but I would think that there's not going to be an explosion of preseason neutral site games. I think we probably hit the bubble. It may burst here soon. Like, for example, they have one at Jerry's World. They have one in Houston, like the same day.
Yeah.
Really, can you just have the one?
Have the one.
Jerry's World is, the place to be. I think, honestly, the moment that the 8-team playoff becomes a reality, be it in 2 years, 5 years, whatever, this is going to be the future of the game, and the schedule is going to look like this. Out-of-conference juggernaut game to start off the year. Right? You're going to have interconference mingling. between Big Ten, Pac-12, SEC, whatever, man. You could create some crazy stuff, go across the country, and then it's going to be a lot like the college basketball schedule where you have the preseason, you have a lot of marquee teams facing up. Heads up, Kentucky, Duke. How many times have they played? It feels like it's always in Maui or something that they're playing.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they beat up on some patsies and they get into their conference slate. I think that's what we're going to have, an abridged version of it. But let's just say we open the season against a team like a Georgia or an LSU. Then you get one of your FCS opponents. Then you get maybe one or two of your lesser ACC opponents in the league. Wink, wink, nod, nod. They know the drill. And then you're hardened for it. It makes you a better football team. And
without question, you're ready to play. Yeah.
Yeah, I think teams are going to be. The moment this 18 playoff comes around, whenever it is, I think schools are going to be very aggressive in this regard to do home and homes.
It's a moneymaker. It readies you for what you're going to see late in the season when it all matters and you've got your games against your rivals.
You're trading revenue dollars. So let's say it's a Fox-owned Big 12 or I'm sorry, Big 10 and an ESPN-owned ACC. Well, so what? If they're going home and home, it's an equal dollar exchange year over year.
The other thing it does is this always serves as the impetus for the conversation that we can't get enough of. I mean, college football fans are silly this way. We always joke about it, but it's true. We talk about dream matchups. We talk about uniforms, and we talk about dream matchups. We're big fans of both. And that gets you thinking about what else is out there, what else is possible, what else would David Coburn be looking at, right? He sees the appeal of playing home games against somebody not named Kent State or somebody that is of no draw whatsoever, whomever it is coming in here that serves as a sacrificial lamb, and you end up having to give away tickets to schools and all that other stuff, right? So, to me, Willie has talked about he wouldn't mind doing this. He likes playing home and home, but he wants it to be a home and home in places where he can go and utilize his ability to recruit. So I think the next logical step is to play Texas, and I would think that's going to happen. I would think you're going to announce in the not-too-distant future a matchup with Texas. I would think that maybe...
Specifically Texas, you're feeling good about this one? Or is it an educated hunch or a hunch?
Texas,
blind speculation.
No, Texas has been rumored for some time that the two schools have been interested in maybe working something out at some point. I just feel like that would be on the horizon. If you had to force a guess, if you said, okay, so here's the deal. Pick the next school. We just found out it was Georgia. Who else do you think we're going to play outside of the conference, out of a Power 5, that would make sense in a home and home? I think Texas would be the team that came to mind pretty quickly. Maybe an LSU, but I think a Texas certainly fits the bill. If you're looking for somebody out of the Big Ten, I don't think it really works.
No, I think it's Pac-12 because he likes to recruit the West Coast.
California, you can play Southern Cal again.
Or you can play Washington. Because he knows that area. We got a kid. Obviously Trayshawn's from that area, and there's another big target this year.
Well, I'd love to play Washington. First of all, to go out there, that campus is gorgeous. That stadium has seen a lot of additions since the first time I went out there, and it's a beautiful place to watch a football game. So I would be for that. I think you're more inclined to pick a game against Southern Cal if you can get it. To play in LA is pretty awesome, and I would sign up for that tomorrow. Now, if I just had my druthers. I'd like to play Oregon. I'd like to sign up for a home and home at Oregon. I doubt he's going to do that, but I would love to play that.
Well, these things. The question is, do we have an opening now between the Georgia series and where we are today? I think so, right?
I think so.
2025, yeah. I think, would be open.
Well, there was a time we had a game set up against Air Force that got taken off the schedule. That would have been fantastic to play Air Force. I would enjoy that, but that's just me talking out loud.
Any excuse to go to Seattle or Austin to do it. Spend a week out there doing shows.
Pick a good concert weekend, perhaps, as well. Yeah.
Let's work in conjunction with the band's 3-year calendar.
Yeah, let's just take a look at some shows that are going to be in the air. Consult with me on that one, guys. I don't care about your musical taste. It's more about mine. How does this benefit me most? It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Mr. Harper goes back to Washington tonight. Harper returns to D.C. for his first game there since signing a $330 million contract to join the Phillies. On Instagram today, Harper thanked the Nationals and their fans, wrote that he expects to hear some boos. Plenty of Phillies fans, though, will be in D.C. tonight, and Harper's given them a lot to cheer about so far, believes ESPN MLB analyst Ryan Howard.
I would say that it's gotten off to a great start. I mean, right now the team is very, very hot, 3-0. He's got a couple homers his last couple of games. He looks to be that he's fit in nicely. I mean, they've got a great mess. The chemistry looks great over there with the team, and they're off to a hot start.
Ryan Howard on Golick and Wingo. Star outfielder Ronald Acuna and the Braves agreed on an 8-year, $100 million extension. The 21-year-old, the youngest player in baseball history to sign a deal of at least 9 figures. NBA Wizards fired longtime team president Ernie Grunfeld. 8 weeks into its inaugural season, the Alliance of American Football suspending football operations, the league reportedly plagued by financial issues.
The Pizzone from Pizza Hut. It's meaty, cheesy, and you know it's big. The Pepperoni Pizzone is back and part of the $5 lineup. 2 or more, just $5 each. No one outpizzas the Hut. Ask or click for offer. Product availability, prices, participation, and delivery areas and minimums vary. Delivery charge is not a driver tip.
The 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachia Parkway is Tallahassee's premier location to try out the best craft brews from the state of Florida. With 14 self-service taps activated by cutting-edge technology, you can try as little or as much as you like from their full menu. The 7th Hill is a proud home of international soccer, opening early for every Arsenal game. They're also open by request for your favorite club, too. Just see Sharon behind the bar. Whether it's a happy hour deal, Sunday brunch with $3 mimosas and a food truck, or time to catch up with friends over a board game, darts, or shuffleboard, Tallahassee's premier spot to enjoy local and Florida craft brews is the 7th Hill Tap Room. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, right underneath the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
And now, a page from the diary of Flo.
Dear Diary, the ghost is back. This house is protected through Progressive, but that doesn't mean it's not haunted. How else would you explain that radiator-like clanking sound? Or the moon-colored light in the hallway that's gone by morning? Maybe he never bundled home and auto, and he's doomed to suffer an eternity without the savings.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive.
What was that wind-like sound? Oh, right, the wind.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Stop by your local Ace for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Get a $5 reward for every $25 you spend on Scott's, Miracle-Gro, and Ortho products. And don't miss our neighborhood yard party this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. See product demonstrations plus get help for all of your lawn and garden projects. Hurry in for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members at participating stores and acehardware.com through April 15th. Maximum reward of $50.
Hi, this is David at Deep South Kawasaki. Springtime is here and Deep South Kawasaki needs to clean house. So choose any new Kawasaki 2019 Brute Force ATV or any new motorcycle in stock and Deep South Kawasaki will pay the tax. That's correct, huge discounts on all new ATVs and lots of motorcycles. So don't miss out and let the good times roll. Deep South Kawasaki located on US 19 South in Thomasville.
Read owner's manuals and all on-product warnings. Kawasaki ATVs with engines of 90 cc's and above are recommended for use by persons 16 years of age and older. Kawasaki also recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
Join the FSU Autism Institute on Sunday, April the 7th from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. for their 3rd annual Kickin' It for Autism Soccer Clinic in partnership with the FSU soccer team and coaches. This is an event for all ages and abilities. Net proceeds from this event will benefit the FSU Autism Institute. For more information, please visit fsucard.com.
At Hardee's, we change deals forever. Deals used to be a way to get rid of the unpopular stuff. Well, Hardee's thinks deals should sell the best stuff for $2.49, which is why this Hardy value serves up a juicy charbroiled bacon double cheeseburger, our hot ham and cheese, or hand-breaded chicken in our Southern-style tender sandwich, each for only $2.49. One day, historians will look back on this Hardy value as a turning point for deal variety and quality. Historians like to make a big deal out of big deals. Hardee's, because it tastes better.
Offer available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating Hardee's restaurants. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included.
Protect your homes, family, and businesses with security and storm protection window film from Truck and Car Concepts.
Hi, I'm Joe Doty. We have over 18 years experience in protecting against Mother Nature. Our security film is resistant to strong winds and broken glass. It also provides an invisible barrier to smash and grab thieves and intruders.
Protect your family with the best from Truck and Car Concepts. 1 block east of Weems Road on Mahan Drive. Call 656-8800. Mention this ad and save 10% off your purchase.
Hendrick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. Shop our huge selection and get the biggest savings of the year. Everyone wins. Visit Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Took the boat out of the water. Already missing my son and missing my daughter.
You know, another aspect of it real quick on that Florida State-Georgia game, I think Corey touched on this in his piece too on warchant.com, and I agree that these universities, really all of them, whether you're in a crazed conference that takes it to another level like the SEC or just one that happens to have a few elite teams towards the top, I would say have got to find ways to get people to come to games. The college football attendance problem has hit every university to varying degrees, of course, but that includes the likes of an Alabama and others. It's tough to get people to go to games. And you are certainly not getting people to go to games against teams that you're 30-point favorites over, and it's never in question.
I think that time has passed. You got to find different ways to market it. And honestly, I mean, I'm looking around Major League Baseball this week, and a lot of opening week games, different markets. It's not just because of the weather. I mean, these are night games that people can get to, and there's 15,000, 20,000 people in the stands, and some of these teams are pretty good.
Yes, some. I'll say this. The game in Pittsburgh the other day, or Cincinnati the other day, it was the second coldest game in Great American Ballpark history. It was 30 degrees at first pitch. Baseball is not a sport that you can go to when it's cold because you're just standing around if you're a player, and you're just sitting there in the stands. There's no it's a spring, nice weather, cool breeze kind of sport. You can't deal with all of this cold early in the season.
But I think people's attitudes towards football have changed enough, especially in the South, to say that I'm not going in September. Like the casual fan. I'm not driving out there to sit in 100-degree heat. Look at this television. Look at this television.
They would if it's Georgia. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But every game can't be Georgia. That's why I think the ship has sailed here, man. You might be able to salvage a couple season ticket packages because people will show up for 2 out of the 5 games.
Right. No, it's just about the packages. It's about the money that you're making. No, I'm not saying the real attendance is going to be greatly improved by and large.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about they need to get people in seats. No way.
No, season ticket packages is a big deal. You got to be able to sell those, and you're not selling them with one good home game.
Yeah, well, in my generation, truly, they may not bite. They'll say, you know what, I only want to go to one game. I don't care if the secondary market price is $200. You know, if I'm spending $350 on season tickets, I don't.
We talked about this too, right? There are new ways of marketing that have to be done, and that is if you want to buy a 3-game package for this price, these are the 3. You could buy you could pay an annual fee for all sporting events to that university.
Yeah, I think that's the better way to do it.
And then just say you get this many, and this is how much it costs you, and you can pick any game you want.
But there still is going to be a huge contingent of people my age who say, well, I don't want to go to 10 games. I don't want to pay an annual fee. If I have to overpay for one, I have to overpay for one. No big deal. And when we turn into 40 and 50-year-olds, what do you do? I mean, at that point, if you're building a new stadium, you're building a new stadium these days for college football, probably around 50, 55,000.
Oh, if you're building a new one, there's no need to go anywhere near that 100,000 marker. I'll tell you what, I am fascinated by the quandary that these folks find themselves in the sports and entertainment business. People don't go to movies anymore either. You don't leave the house if you don't have to. It's a lot of facets to this, a lot of talking points. We can get knee deep into all of this, but
to stay on the positive side of it, the TV experience is just so damn good that there's not that big of a difference anymore.
That's right. There's no doubt when I grew up or when I was in college that if you stayed home to watch a game, you were missing out. You were seriously missing out on a lot of not only elements and the energy surrounding the game that made it unique to the live experience, but you just didn't see stuff because the TVs, in retrospect, weren't any good. You're looking at a 32-inch glass television, certainly not in high definition. You're squinting to see certain things, or you're struggling to catch the game in its entirety in a way that would at least leave you reluctant to leave the house. I mean, it didn't. The contrast was so stark. Everybody knew it. So if you could get to the big game, you were going to the big game. There was no doubt you were not going to be left out of that experience. You were going to see it. You didn't care if it was 100 degrees because you knew watching it on television couldn't come close to the real thing. And now it absolutely comes close to the real thing without the parking hassles, the expenses of in-stadium beverages, you name it.
Well, and I think, the people next to you. I think also the benefit to doing our job, I kind of like when we play on the road and it's a big game with a lot of camera
you watch
angles.
9 games, you want to see everything.
Well, that too, but I mean, let's just say it's the Alabama game, right? And it's 8 o'clock on that Saturday. You know what I loved about that game? You went up, you got to see it, the new stadium, all that stuff. I stayed here. But we go to a commercial break, and it's going to take 2.5 minutes. You know what I do? I rewind back and I rewatch the plays. So by the time we get to the next series or we come out of the TV timeout, I've already rewatched that series. Everything at least twice, or if there's a really big play, I'll watch that play 3 times so I can take a look left tackle or right tackle. I can grade everything that goes on, see what happened. This guy blew his assignment here, or this guy fell down, or whatever it is. You can't do that. The stadium doesn't have a TV in front of you with a DVR. That's a really, really, if you're trying to analyze something for a living or watch it and be able to speak about it on a radio program, it's truly better to stay home unless it's a Florida State Georgia game that happens once every 40 years.
Well, and that's where the home and home against unique, not just teams, but traditions matter. Like, you could not have recreated the trip we made to Notre Dame. Sitting in your living room would have been nothing compared to what we went to do and part of that package and traveling and then going into that stadium, walking in with the weather conditions as they were. I knew we both walked in knowing full well we were about to watch an ass-kicking. Now, that's a greater conversation about the sorry state of affairs in Florida State football, but we weren't there to watch a surprise upset because we knew it wasn't going to happen. We were there to live an experience that we've always wanted to have and to see a traditional power and to be in that stadium and to deal with the weather and all of that.
That's completely different because obviously a lot of people who listen to this program, all right, maybe you live in Orlando, Tampa, you don't come here but once or twice a year. But we do live here, and so there's the access to it at some point.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I mean the lure of going to a game in the '90s as of today. Covering this team for 20+ years.
Yeah,
any game I couldn't wait to go into. That's gone. That's gone. There are a handful of games at Doak every year that I go, man, because we can't always tailgate. Obviously, we got to be professional, and there are teams that that game's not going to be competitive. It's just going to be bad football. And because I know we're going to come in here on a Monday and have to talk about the 17 other games that were of greater significance to the sport and how it impacts us, the conference, the potential playoff chase, whatever it might be, you always felt like, oh man, I'm falling behind. When we're playing Wake, although lately that is not a foregone conclusion. But when we're playing a team like that, and there are 6 other games on of great magnitude, you're right. Yeah. I don't have as much.
Well, I mean, here's a perfect example. It doesn't have to be a media type who.
And the administration just yelled out, "Champions Club."
Right. Well, the memorial, indeed.
Yeah.
But here's a perfect example of somebody who's a peer of mine. His dad has been a booster for as long as time, right? Like going back, they were a student here, whole thing in the 60s, 70s. And so he grew up Florida State, that's what he bleeds, Tampa Bay area. And when we used to go on game days to the tailgates and all that kind of stuff, he had the Florida State house. It was like known, you walk in, the memorabilia is there.
All there.
So he is all Noel as can be. Well, flash forward to he's a young pro in Tallahassee. They have a tailgate group out of the IM Fields. He doesn't have tickets. You know what he goes for? He goes for the tailgating, the camaraderie.
Well, and that part.
The satellite TVs. You know what they love? They embrace hearing the roar of the crowd, so they know that something awesome is about to. Like, what's about to happen? That they care about the bonding more than they do.
Yeah, it's an excuse to get together with people that have been strewn throughout the state or throughout the country post-graduation, getting together, hanging out. Sure.
And here's this guy who's a legacy Noel.
Yeah.
My generation is we're wired a little bit different.
No, you don't
here.
go to games. No. Going to sporting events or going to live events is not your all's cup of tea all that often. Now that you can't replace a concert, but yeah.
And like the Notre Dame thing, that's an experience. And it's an event, an experience. I think, one thing obviously that has a little bit more in real life than on TV, going to the basketball games. When that place is loud, that place is charged.
Much better than watching on television.
You can't get that on TV. Football is kind of made for TV and vice versa.
You know what's not made for TV? Hockey.
And there's the event. I love going to playoff games. You can't recreate that.
We're getting to an interesting point, too, where I think for certain sports, hockey has certainly been this way for a long time. I don't know if college football is going to end up at this place because it's soared in popularity across the country. Eventually, it seems like these things all come back to this, except for the NFL. And that is, are you just a regional sport? Major League Baseball is largely just a regional sport. That's what it is. You watch your team. How many people in Boston are watching the Angels play or watching the Twins play or watching? They're not. They're going to see the Red Sox because Fenway's awesome. Their team is really good. The experience is incredible. But they're not. Maybe they'll watch the Yankees because it's a rival. They'll watch their division. Maybe.
Oh, Twins Rays. It's Barrios Snell. I got to watch that tonight.
But if you loved the sport as a whole, you would want to watch that tonight. But people don't do that anymore. They used to. They watch their team. They're watching that team and really anybody that comes to town, and that's about it.
Well, I think part of that is having the ability to watch every game. I used to love Sunday Night Baseball.
Yeah, just
growing
to see
up,
teams you didn't
just
get
to
to see.
Two of the greats, two of the great pitchers.
So one of the things that we've talked about on this show before, I grew up looking at the box score every morning for all sports. I did it for the NBA because I was not going to get to see a lot of these guys play. I was not going to get to watch Olajuwon play unless it was a weekend matchup. You were going to see Houston and the Lakers or something like that. And I also did it with baseball. Like, I can still remember thinking, man, Rod Carew, that guy gets a hit every night. Every time I look in this box score, Rod Carew is 2 for 4. It seems like Rod Carew should be hitting about 500 right about now. And I would think, I wonder what Rod Carew looks like. I wonder what it's like to see him play. You'd watch This Week in Baseball just to hear Mel Allen's voice talk about Rod Carew and watch slow motion replays.
Sure.
That was the only time you got to see Rod freaking Carew.
Yeah, my two favorite parts of growing up in that little sports nostalgia, holding the newspaper, was in the summers, in the mornings, to look at the baseball standings, look at what games are going to be on TV.
Yeah.
And look at the box scores, just like you. I did all of that. And then when I was driving to school with my dad, I could have the sports section in my hand.
You could tell him.
And I would tell him what's going on. He'd say, so what's going on here? What's on, but with hockey mostly. I'd look at all the box scores, and it was the Penguins in that decade. And it was like, my God.
What again?
They got 4 goals. And I'm like, all right, so they got 4 goals. How many assists
do
you think? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We'd play that game. That was
yeah.
fun. Now you can just, at the tip of your finger, watch every clip from every game. And the magic is somehow gone a little bit there.
Oversaturation. There's no doubt that is a problem. It's a real problem in my mind for football. It's become somewhat of a problem in the NBA. It's hard to imagine or even to make a legitimate argument, though, that access to more information, access to being able to watch any team, any player you want, when you want, is a bad thing. I would have thought the leagues certainly suffered when you could. So the idea that I would never get to see Mike Trout unless they were playing on the East Coast or it was a Sunday night baseball game or an all-star game, would really infuriate me. And it's true, I don't go and look at Angels highlights every night, but I can watch Mike Trout if I want to watch Trout any night of the week.
Well, if you're MLB, it's not a bad thing because they would every day and twice on Sunday trade the revenue they get from MLB TV for Sunday night baseball ratings. But if you're a broadcast network or ESPN for Sunday night baseball or Sunday basketball on NBC back in the day, I mean, this is your worst nightmare because it's not special anymore.
Not unique in any way, shape, or form. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Professional grade.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Thompson Services of Tallahassee, LLC, has been servicing the Tallahassee area for over 20 years with a variety of services from tire repair, new and used tires, changing of big truck tires, and 24-hour roadside service. Thompson Services of Tallahassee also will detail your car to perfection with wash and wax and a variety of affordable packages to have you riding nice and clean. Thompson Services of Tallahassee is located at 3014 South Adams Street, right across from Planet Fitness. Call for a convenient service appointment at 850-284-5907.
There ain't no heating and air conditioning, keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Now you can quickly and easily schedule an appointment or pay your bill from your mobile device. This spring, turn to the experts at Carrier. Learn more about great rebates and 0% financing for up to 60 months. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 057652.
There ain't no heating and air conditioning.
Hendrick. Find new roads at the first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Shop our huge selection and get the biggest savings of the year. Everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Buzz Williams is the new head basketball coach at Texas A&M. He takes over for Billy Kennedy, who was fired in March after 8 seasons. Williams leaves Virginia Tech after 5 years and makes a return to A&M, where he was an assistant coach 15 years ago. The Indians signed manager Terry Francona to a 2-year extension. Francona's deal now runs through the 2022 season. Nationals shortstop Trey Turner goes on the injured list with a broken right index finger. No timetable yet for his return. Braves outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. made his major league debut less than a year ago, and he now has a new 8-year contract worth $100 million. Jason Stark of The Athletic.
On the one hand, it's $100 million. He's 21 years old, and I don't know how any of us have the right to say to a guy like him, that you shouldn't accept life-changing money that'll change your life, change the lives of all your loved ones, and change generations of Acuñas for many years to come. But on the other hand, I was speculating just last week that this guy had a chance to become the first $500 million player because he was going to hit free agency so young. And so there's no doubt he left hundreds of millions of dollars on the table.
Jason Stark on Spain and Fitz. ESPN's Jordan Schultz reports the 76ers will sign free agent center Greg Monroe. Philadelphia will be Monroe's fourth team this season after Toronto, Brooklyn, and Boston. Lakers guard Lonzo Ball has filed a lawsuit against the co-founder and former manager of Big Baller brand, Alan Foster. He's suing for $2 million plus damages.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you're well. I got a horse race that's about to begin here, Tom, that I'm wagering on. Are you aware of this? You are aware of this. I'll tell you guys about this in a bit. I'm learning more from my friends at TVG. They're going to learn more, too, because they're paying me to do this, and I like to gamble.
They're paying you to gamble.
So my job is really cool. I think I have probably one of the best jobs in the world. And whenever I lose sight of it, something always brings you back. There's a moment, maybe you get to meet somebody who's really cool that you've always admired from afar in the sporting world. Maybe you get to go to an event. Tom and I got to go to watch the Stanley Cup Finals, and we went to more than one game with the Lightning. That was incredible. We got a chance to go to the national championship, obviously, in 2013 and stand down on the field in the San Gabriel Mountains in the background and how incredible it was to be in the Rose Bowl. And so on and so on. But then there are little things like this that remind you that it's very cool. Unabashedly on this show, I have talked to you about my affinity for, gambling, betting on sports. I like to do that. I'm a grown-ass man. If I want to take $50 and place a bet on something, I will. I don't care to be judged for it. Anyhow, that said, I'm rewarded for it now. Because of this job and America's shift in attitude towards allowing adults to be adults, do what they want with their money, and no longer shame them, companies such as TVG and many others have begun to see a market with guys like me, guys who appreciate the art, the insight, the hard work and diligence it takes to be elite when you're a gambler. And they say, I want to invest in that man. I want to call him and his station and see if we can't give him money and then hope that he gambles it with what it is we're pushing. In this case, it's horse racing, Tom. I don't know much about horse racing. My father certainly does. He moved from Pennsylvania when he was young to Miami. He used to be in Hialeah and would go to the Hialeah racetrack. And his boss came over from Cuba, ran a furniture store, and had a problem with gambling. He spent a lot of his money at the track. And he needed a cover. He needed somebody to cover him when his wife was coming around to the furniture store while he was out placing bets. My dad was that man. He would lie to that woman so that his boss could go place bets at the track. What a wonderful world. And he got into it. He got to where he knew a lot about horse racing, and he still does, way more than any man should. And now I need to tap into that expertise because TVG is paying me to learn about horse racing. They're giving me money to utilize their app to convey to our listeners what I'm doing when it comes to horse racing, how to bet the ponies, and I will do so. And I will do so with great fervor. But more importantly, I will seek to learn along the way exactly how it works. And so, look, disclaimer here, man. Yeah, they're paying me to do it, but I'm doing it. I have the app. If you're watching at home, there it is. It's right there on my phone. And I've got it. In fact, Tom, you saw, I just placed a bet a moment ago. I am 7 minutes away.
Is that Tinder on your screen as well?
No.
Oh.
Tampa Bay Downs. I've got a race going off in 7 minutes. Now it's just a little bet. Just a little something to wet the whistle. And I can watch it on this app right here. It's the TVG app. And you download it to your phone. It's a free app. And if you do it now, they'll match you. So I put $100 in. They give me $100 back plus a bonus 20. I had 220 bones to mess with. Do what I want with. But more importantly, because you're going to learn along with me, it's a TV station. The TVG is. It's an app and a TV station. When you go there, you can learn about what you're doing. So, it's pretty close to the time where horse racing gets really excited with the Kentucky Derby, and I know all that, but I also know what I don't know, and I need to learn. And so I go to this tvg.com/979. Make sure you use the code, people. They're going to help you out.
It's a web address, not a code. So
That's
you go
right.
/979.
That's right, tvg.com/979, or you can get the app. And they've got experts that tell you about these horses and tell you about these tracks and tell you about these races and what the odds are. And then they do special deals where they'll say, you know what, if you don't win this race but you finish in the top 3, we'll give you your money back. They have all these promotional items for people who jump on board with this. And they pay me to tell you about it. And I'm doing just that because I'm actually doing it. I'm wagering, and I'm going to learn about it. And I'll let you know if I'm winning or losing. I should know in about 6 minutes with my first bet. Wouldn't it be something if if the fix was in and I got the trifecta, just so they could get me?
So they could get the sales up?
They could get the sales up? Well, they actually want you to win.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, they want you to win. They do. And I'm worrying about how to make the picks. I'm worrying about the experts at the Tampa Bay Downs. I'm worrying about the experts at the upcoming races in the weeks to come and why you take a horse and why you don't. And I don't pretend to know that. There are people out there listening right now who do know that. And they're like, all right, well, this ought to be interesting. He's got a lot to learn. I do. But TVG is going to help me do it. So if you're interested in doing this with me, here's what I'll tell you to do. Download the TVG app or go to www.tvg.com/979 and get signed up. That's true. Look, it's a pitch. I'm not trying to lie to you, but it's also something I'm doing. So if you want to do it, here you go. Go to tvg.com/979. They're going to help you out. And here's what they're going to do. If you make your first deposit, you sign up with TVG today, make the first deposit, they'll match it up to $100 within 15 days. So if you make your first deposit of $100, they're going to throw in an extra 20 on top of that if you act within the next 15 days. So make sure it's tvg.com/979. Make it happen. I didn't even intend to lead the hour with that, but I did it because this race is coming up and I'm going to be distracted.
That is the longest in-show pitch of all time, and the reason is you like gambling that much.
Yeah, and it's not even, it is a pitch, but it's true.
It's also a story.
It is true. My dad, well, that's true with my
Every
dad,
break
too.
now, people. I have to deal with this. Every break is like, Tom, got another bet in.
Well, and soon you're going to hear me start talking about the names of the horses and why it's a good bet and whether or not.
Tom, Whispering Wonder. He placed. I'm in the money.
You'll damn well hear it. 4 minutes, T-minus 4 minutes to my race at the Tampa Bay Downs. Well, I have a chance to edit the bet with this simple-to-use app, but I
think we're going to do a segment in the near future where you're just going to hold up the screen to the camera, and so people can tell you whether or not you won.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Any late scratches, Tom? I need to know. My TVG app would tell me if there are any late scratches. No late scratches.
Have you ever gone to Tampa Bay Downs?
I have not.
Really?
You know what? That's crazy to say. I have not. I've never been to Tampa Bay Downs.
That's only about 10, 15 minutes away from where my parents live in Palm Harbor.
It's ridiculous.
It's up by the flea market in
No, I
Oldsmar.
know exactly where it is. I just never have gone. How many times have you gone?
Oh,
handful of times.
This is the one gambling thing that my family's like totally cool.
They're
with.
all in on it.
Yeah. So when everybody gets together, the aunts and the uncles come down. Everybody spends a day at the track. We watch probably about 6 or 7 races, and we bet the races. And that's fun.
You're not there to watch just for the hell of it.
Some people do go just to watch the horses. It's like Uncle
I could
Buck.
go watch a horse.
The beautiful
anywhere.
horses, the colorful jockeys.
I could go watch horses anywhere. I want to bet.
There's also a good dive bar right across the way, Peggy O'Neill's. It's one of 3 or 4 in the Tampa Bay area, but there's one just down the road across from the flea market.
It's one of 150 dive bars in the Tampa Bay area. But
one of Peggy O'Neill's is a chain.
No.
But there's one that's a good bar.
Okay. Well, you and I are going the next time we go, and now that I have my handy TVG app, we will go and bet the ponies. Good times, buddy. All right.
You don't even need to go. We'll just do it from here. Make our own bar.
We were talking about Florida State, Georgia 2027 at Jay Cameron Show. What's your best/worst road experience? Ryan asked that question, followed it up with mine was BYU/Independence Bowl. Can't wait to see our road uniforms on the blue turf. If we've righted them by then, Ryan.
You like the roadies, though.
Yeah, I do. Ours are nice, yes. They're not completely bastardized the way the home uniforms are. Best road experience was Norman, Oklahoma. Florida State OU was incredible. I also have had, I've had good experiences a lot of different places. That was probably my favorite, though. I think so.
Georgia Tech. It's sorry.
By far my worst was Georgia Tech, and I didn't think I'd say that. Now, I had some toughies down in Miami, but you kind of brace for that because that's...
You brace and embrace.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is what's going to happen.
Us against the world.
Yeah, this is, I had a guy jump a curb in a truck with 6 dudes in the back of it as Todd Van Dyke and I were walking to the little market that's right on the corner next to the Marlins Stadium now where the Orange Bowl used to be. That gas station is still there. And I visit it every time I go there just because I have been for a long, long time. But we were going to buy beer, imagine that, to tailgate, and they hopped the curb and jumped out and wanted to fight us because we were in Florida State gear. How crazy is that? Just wanted to fight us for being there. It's just asinine. I remember I was laughing. I was like, really? We're going to get in a fight because I'm wearing a Florida State hat and shirt?
I don't know that I've had a good road experience other than, like the, of course, being in Pasadena doesn't suck.
A pretty good road experience there, but yeah.
True road environment. Probably Clemson.
It's a good place to go see a game.
And the people are great.
Yeah,
At least they were then. I don't know. Maybe they're a little pompous now, but that was about 10, 11 years ago.
I'm so tired of having to hail all things Clemson. I'm so it's not their fault. They're doing what they're supposed to do. So what happened before the show? You walked in to tell me something that I needed to know. I was reading, as I am apt to do before we go on the air, information, talking points, angles, and I'm reading how Clemson is in on now the #1 quarterback recruit for 2020. They were talking about that they have 2 of those top 5 quarterbacks thinking about going to Clemson. I rolled my eyes because, of course, they have Lawrence as well. And then, at least once a week, we cite an example of where Clemson's getting it right and that we're aspiring to get to that place. But it's getting old, man. It's getting old. I'm sure the entirety of the ACC felt that way for a very long time when citing Florida State. I understand. But we've been removed from that long enough now where I'm worn out. I'm worn out saying, well, certainly Clemson gets it right. Looks like Clemson fans are doing the right thing this weekend. Look at that. Clemson won another big game. There's Clemson again in on the #1 recruit for this position or that position. God dog it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Miami came into the ACC and made the All Canes Conference. It was just, they were overlords from the word go.
But I am ready to stop saying, I'm ready to stop throwing out that caveat. I'm ready to be excited about our spring game, our recruiting class, the things that are happening here.
Hey, man. Kendall Briles said, Clemson's got to play us too. So there's that.
Oh, yeah, they're excited to do so.
Well, he was insinuating otherwise. So
well, listen, he better have that attitude. Every one of our coaches better have that attitude. Hell, for that matter, our players better have that attitude. But we don't have to be, blinded by loyalty to a teammate and work effort and all that other stuff that goes on a day-to-day basis with practicing players and coaches. We can be fans and analysts from afar and note, steeped in reality, that we're a long way off from beating Clemson. on the regular.
Here's the worry I have. Do we have ghosts when we climb out of it? Because they certainly had ghosts.
They had ghosts for us for a while.
Oh, for a long time.
Basically until last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, 2 years ago, what were they doing?
Well,
James Blackman's out there about dead on the field, and we're still in the game.
Yeah. Dabo hit the gas last year here. He's like, all right, fine. You want me to do it?
Bury it.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah. It reminded me, in a weird way, of the Florida game when Urban Meyer just took a knee at halftime. All 3 timeouts. Only up 24. Just have pity on them. Have pity on them. They're not even close. We were once where they were many moons ago. Just have pity. Comes around, goes around. We'll see. Maybe in about 8 years they'll get it together. Just walk off into the tunnel, boys. Our business is done here. They pose no threat.
Looking out, baby, I'm calling up, crying out, hear me please, yeah.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
I don't hunt eggs, I hunt deals. And at Family Dollar, I find them everywhere. This week, pop in for Easter candy and basket stuffers. New spring fashions are buy one, get one half off. And Coca-Cola 12-packs are 3 for $10. Plus, check out huge savings at the Red Tag clearance event, where thousands of items are marked way below our regular prices. So hop on over and get your basket full of Easter savings at Family Dollar.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split 1 order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Hi, this is David at Deep South Kawasaki. Springtime is here and Deep South Kawasaki needs to clean house. So choose any new Kawasaki 2019 Brute Force ATV or any new motorcycle in stock and Deep South Kawasaki will pay the tax. That's correct, huge discounts on all new ATVs and lots of motorcycles. So don't miss out and let the good times roll. Deep South Kawasaki, located on US 19 South in Thomasville. Read owner's manuals and all on-product warnings. Kawasaki ATVs with engines of 90 cc's and above are recommended for use by persons 16 years of age and older. Kawasaki also recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
I can't believe I got into another fender bender. My poor truck.
Lisa's Pain Body, can I help you?
Hey Lisa, this is Jimmy Bone. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I got into a little bit of an accident. Bent my front fender and cruising past your place, and it doesn't look like you're open.
Jimmy, I am leaving here, and I am going to be closed down for a week until April 8th. I'll be at my new location on Mahan Drive.
Lisa's Paint and Body is getting a brand new location.
Yes, sir.
Well, you guys have helped me out in the past and did a great job, and I can't imagine, but your new place is going to be even better.
It's going to be great. Twice the size, all new equipment, very nice.
Okay, what's your location?
2820 Mahan Drive.
And you're reopening on April 8th.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll be in there with some scratched up paint and a bent fender.
I look forward to seeing you.
Lisa's Paint and Body, now with a new location starting April 8th.
MV46050.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Hendrick.
It's the one race that everyone wins. Find new roads at the first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. So start your engines, hit the gas, and save big. Shop our huge selection of Chevrolet cars, trucks, and SUVs, and get the biggest savings of the year. Join the race that everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
The madness is coming to the corner pocket.
They're in trouble. Desperation. Yes!
Choose the place with Tallahassee's best TVs. The Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall. 8 50-inch crystal clear flat screens. You won't miss a second of the action. Corner Pocket's your headquarters for the most watched sporting event in America.
For the win! Good! A miracle!
Delicious food, the best drink specials. Connect to their free Wi-Fi and keep up with your bracket. From the opening tip to the cutting of the nets. Come see why Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Oh, my goodness!
You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello. I don't know if I won or not. I was checking here. Let's see what you got here, boys. I probably won, Tom. I'll have to find out. I can watch the race live here in a few seconds.
Oh, it still hasn't started?
I don't know. I'm a little behind. You can watch the races live on the TVG app. I know that, but it probably wouldn't serve me well to do so, given that I'm doing a radio program as we speak. So we'll leave it alone. But it did signal me that the race was starting during the break.
This was College Parties. This is like the channel. It may be the same channel that I used to DVR during the week. And then when we have a house party, we could place bets on a horse race. Yeah. It's a nice little twist to a party.
I like that. That's well done. Not shocking here. A couple of items from the world of college basketball. Yes, Ja Morant is set to declare for the NBA draft. And as predicted, we don't have to deal with Buzz Williams anymore. At least not until we're in the tournament. He takes the job at Texas A&M. Woohoo! Smart move, Buzz. Take it on down the road. And Virginia Tech mattered ever so briefly in the world of college basketball. They're back to not mattering in any way, shape, or form. Back to irrelevance, boys. Back to irrelevance you go.
They did matter, and they were dangerous, and they could have been good enough to make the Final Four and or win the title this year.
Back to irrelevance you go. Didn't make hay. Well, I guess you did. Got to back-to-back-to-back NCAA tournaments for the first time in program history thanks to Buzz. And now Buzz taking his act on the road. Baja Tech, back into your hole. We don't have to worry about you anymore. I remember I'd use PIN. Virginia Tech, win. It was always fun. Just win. Put that in there. W. But you couldn't do it with Buzz. Never knew. Although, we did this year. W.
Well,
W.
Okay. So W's and L's is something that was born out of something you've been doing forever and a day on the air.
Mm-hmm.
But you truly, as long as I've known you, have been obsessed with getting the pen out and writing in the W or the L on any calendar that has a game on it. So Millar used to have the 2-page calendar. So he had the whole month, and it was a spiral notebook, and he had it laid out there, and he'd have the games on the Saturdays. You would hunt it down and put your predictions on that calendar when the schedule came out.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, you put like W, we're going to beat the out of them.
Oh, yeah, I would write down certain scores.
Not even W, not even a game.
Not even a game.
You would do W's. I mean, you do it on the wall calendars.
Very specific, yes, I would.
Any date book that has a Florida State game on it.
I do it at my house. I do it at my house. Christy laughs at me. She sets it up on the calendar that we keep on the fridge, and so that the kids can look ahead to events that they have and things like that. And I go to all the games, and I write in what I think is going to happen. And then I go back, and when they actually do happen, I'll write if I got it right or wrong. And last year, obviously, there was a lot of...
It's like W won't even watch. W 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always
I would always have a little caveat to it. Yeah, by the way, these days I don't write W's next to too many of Florida State's games. I just, apprehensive.
But when you brought up the Virginia Tech thing, that reminded me because in the front office here, we had the calendar on the wall, the line schedule for Florida State. And he said, Tom, what are you doing? I go, what? I'm working. Give me a pen. Look at all these blank spots, Tom. We have won 6 games in a row.
You've got to write these W's in, man. And when you can, I think I get that from my old roommate, Matt Britton. He's always writing stuff in on calendars. So there you go. I'll run in there. Like, whoa, what are you doing here? It's like it didn't happen if you don't put in on the calendar the result. But I would like to be able to do that with pen at least 8-9 times for the upcoming football season. Don't know that I will. I mentioned last hour, and we talked about Florida State and Georgia, but Georgia's also scheduled Clemson. And they just they are what we used to be in so many ways, man. It's just crazy. Georgia's at that place. Clemson's at that place. Bulldogs and Noles, obviously 2027 here in Tallahassee. We'll travel to Athens September the 4th, or September the 16th in 2028. The new series with Clemson will take place in 2032 and 2033. But, previously we had announced they had announced a home and home for 2029 and 2030. And, you go through this, you start seeing these games getting put to the calendar. And in addition to Florida State and Clemson, Georgia has future home and home games scheduled against Texas. They have future home and home games scheduled against the tent of suspicion known as UCLA, automatic win. Georgia is now scheduled to play Florida State and Texas, both in 2028.
They're banking on the 8-team playoff, I would think, right?
All of these teams are. And I think the more aggressive scheduling is, as we've said before, going to be the norm. And it's going to benefit all of us that love college football. Every week we love the idea of, hey, listen, how excited were you just to watch? I know there was an added element to it, but just to watch, Clemson and Texas A&M. You love to see these matchups for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, Oklahoma, Ohio State in recent years, Georgia, Notre Dame.
Road team won both games in the Oklahoma-Ohio State matchup.
Remember the Georgia-Notre Dame game that we thought it was the weekend the hurricane was rolling up a couple of years ago. And we thought, it's the afterthought because Clemson, Auburn, Ohio State, Oklahoma, these are the headliners. Ends up being that Notre Dame, Georgia was a precursor and a warning of things to come. Both those teams were very good.
That Notre Dame team turned out to be oddly better at various points of the season than they were by the time it got late in the year when we were playing them. But we were so outmatched. It was another alarming.
Well, I'm talking about 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
That team was much better 2 years ago than it was last year. But then again, they started their back up against us, and they had the kid make all the catches, every catch on like a Heisman mode of NCAA you've ever seen.
5-man box.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. It's funny when we go through these games. When you go through the schedule, when you go through the matchups, when you go through the results of the games. I was asked yesterday, when you're talking about a lack of excitement and enthusiasm surrounding the spring game, what is that? What's at the root of that besides the record? Because teams have bad seasons, and the fan base doesn't become apathetic overnight. And I note, of course, that we weren't any good the year previous as well, dating even further than that. I really think at the end of the day, it was the resounding beatings by teams that were any good at all.
Margins of victory, yes.
Yeah. Margin, you forget about margin of victory, but if you lose 20-17 to Clemson and it's a war, if you lose by a last second, or a long drive at the end of the game to Florida 28-21, or you lose to, anybody who's any good at all, and it's a well-contested, you feel like a break here or there, another year's experience, a little bit better on the offensive line, you can win that game, then that's the hope that you cling to. But when you're getting killed...
Just look at the last 2 Clemson games. The one up there, we had the ball with a chance to win. We didn't have the right to be there, but we were there. So what do we do for a year? Lie to ourselves. That we're closer than we think we are. If Matthew Thomas just picked up the ball.
Oh, Jesus.
If James Blackman didn't throw a pick, he had somebody wide open on the. But you know what? Honestly, the program was still at a great distance. That was something you had dead on before the season started. The distance between these two programs in the ACC.
Every era of poor play that any school has, their fans usually associate a game or a player that best represents that stretch of time. And I have a suspicion Matthew Thomas is somehow going to represent, unfair to him, maybe, is going to represent the decline of Florida State.
Also represents a lost tooth for Brad Kaya.
Which will be forever well thought of and embraced, which allows him to stay out of that, doghouse in perpetuity, right? Because you did do that. At least you did that, Unicorn.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Please visit FSUcard.com.
Yuengling Golden Pilsner, a highly sessionable beer, golden in both name and color. Yuengling Golden Pilsner is the perfect balance of hop and malt character for crisp and smooth thirst-quenching refreshment. Cheer for your garnet and gold with Yuengling Golden Pilsner. Yuengling, brewing good times for 190 years. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. A message from local beverage distributor Triangle Sales.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Yes, yes, yes. That is right, good sir. Baseball is upon us.
Hey, man, what are you having?
An El Gordo and a Gordo smash. Going all in on the Gordos in honor of baseball, my good friend.
Get me an El Gordo and a Gordo smash. Those are the reasons you always come back.
You were all in on that singing.
And I danced, too.
No. Not necessary.
Watch. All right.
Off the bar, Eddie!
No, watch.
And the tapping?
Oh.
Sweet Jesus, Eddie, are you all right?
For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Gordos, where Eddie will dance on the bar. In baseball. Yay, baseball. In Gordos.
And now, a page from the diary of Flo.
Dear Diary, the ghost is back. This house is protected through Progressive, but that doesn't mean it's not haunted. How else would you explain that radiator-like clanking sound? Or the moon-colored light in the hallway that's gone by morning? Maybe he never bundled home and auto, and he's doomed to suffer an eternity without the savings.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive.
What was that wind-like sound? Oh, right, the wind.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Stop by your local Ace for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Get a $5 reward for every $25 you spend on Scott's, Miracle-Gro, and Ortho products. And don't miss our neighborhood yard party this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. See product demonstrations plus get help for all of your lawn and garden projects. Hurry in for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members at participating stores and acehardware.com through April 15th. Maximum reward of $50.
Very no heating and air conditioning, keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
You
can now quickly and easily schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. This winter, take advantage of great rebates and 0% financing for 36 months. Learn more online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 057652.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hendrick. Find new roads at the first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Shop our huge selection and get the biggest savings of the year. Everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
Cigars of Tally Lounge and Bar is your cigar place to relax in Tallahassee. With a brand new location at 926 North Monroe, right down from the state capitol, Cigars of Tally Lounge and Bar has a variety of amenities to offer both individuals wanting to come in and relax or a small group that wants to access their conference rooms. Cigars of Tally Lounge and Bar is the premier cigar lounge in Tallahassee. Come celebrate their grand opening April 4th from 6 to 10 p.m. Check out the largest humidor in Tallahassee and the Diamond Crown Lounge at Cigars of Tally, 926 North Monroe, just down the road from the Capitol.
Chuck Oliver here, and Tallahassee, let's talk college football in the South. Join me every weekday at 1 p.m. right here for wall-to-wall coverage of every big program in the region. Whether it's the ACC or SEC, college football is always on our minds. The conversation happens right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
You won't be watching Xavier Peters in the spring game. He has been suspended for a violation of team rules. Team returned from spring break. He hasn't practiced upon that return. No other announcement made. That's a guy that checked out the transfer portal, by the way. But then, if you recall his tweet, he came back and said, there you go, buddy. There you go. He said, no, firmly committed to Florida State. And I think more and more guys will do that, just kind of see what else is out there. And it's weird for us to deal with as fans. But anyhow, he's played a couple games. Here's the deal. He was slated to be one of the guys that you thought could provide the pressure off the edge for Florida State because there are question marks as to who's going to do that. And he's a guy that obviously Under Armour All-American. When he got to Florida State and was considered to be one of the better recruits in that class. He's, you're hoping, going to emerge to be a star, and this is not good news. Now, I'm not in the habit of overreacting. The guy goes on spring break. I'm going to speculate, maybe had a little too much fun. Don't know for sure. That's my phone ringing while we're doing a show. Anyhow.
Maybe he called a friend or two.
Yeah,
maybe he called up the Campster.
Who knows? That could be him calling me now going, hey. But point would be this.
Don't tell him about my spring break, Campster.
I had a good time on the spring break, man. So here's the deal. He's not going to be there, and that's unfortunate because I'd say that there's a lack of things that spur interest in the spring game. This adds to that list.
Yeah, because he's a dynamic pass rusher. Was it the Wake game that he got in?
Yeah, he did.
You go, woo. Well, that looks a little different.
We got excited. And he did get in the Clemson game. It didn't really matter because Clemson was beating the bejesus out of us. But, yeah, he got in a couple games.
If Clemson's beating you by 50 and you get in the game, does it count?
Does it? Yeah.
Did it happen?
It happened. Hey, think about that big win over Wake. Oddly enough, that win started off awfully shaky.
Oh, man.
We were this close. We were texting each other. We were this close to saying this could go south in a hurry.
A couple of missed guys up the seam early on. They had us all discombobulated.
Ooh, man.
Although it probably wasn't them. You know, if you're discombobulated by every team, then it's probably not the other team that's doing it to you.
Hey, if you want to, if you want to feel better about our spring game, take a look at TCU's spring game because it got canceled.
They don't have enough dudes, right?
There you go, right? I mean, imagine if I were coming on these airwaves and having that conversation. Hey, can't have a spring game this year. We got too many people hurt, limited depth, not going to play it. Forget about it. We're going home. We just don't have enough guys that we're able to put together teams and practice with. So, we're with, we're half of the 85 scholarship players allowed. That's the actual report from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Of the 85 players, they had half capable of competing. What are they doing at TCU? Are they beating them with sticks?
They do more than wrap up and thud you.
I guess so. You can't describe that as a rash of injuries. That's a catastrophe. Did they get struck by the plague? How do you lose 80? I mean, think about that. You can't field two teams, an offense and a defense?
Yeah, it's beyond normal attrition.
The Black Death has hit Fort Worth. What are we doing here? They're wheeling them out. Luckily for them, they open up against Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Patterson's kid had the Black Death. Little did he know he was a carrier.
The Horned Frogs coming off a 7-6 season. They did win the Cheez-It Bowl. Said last November, did Gary Patterson, that 35 players missed 4 or more games. Got to take a good long look at your strength and conditioning program at that point.
Like the New York Mets of college football there.
I was going to say, when are you just a little bit more than unlucky, right? That is, and I am going to say this because I've been asked a lot about it and I haven't answered it because I haven't frankly cared all that much. Partly because I think if he has to play, we're in deep, deep trouble. But upon reading the story today, again, not a big story, but as it relates to Florida State, I think it raises eyebrows because it's the third such incident that this has occurred in, where a quarterback transfer has been ruled immediately eligible to play for another team. Like you saw it with Miami, obviously. Mm-hmm. That guy, by the way, he's perfect for Miami.
Right. Well, the reports aren't, they're not great. I don't know how much he can play. So maybe he's a guy that we're just going to love because he is so Miami and he can't do anything about it, which is kind of like Miami since, I don't know, like 03,
He
04.
is so Miami, man. When you saw the pictures that came out after he was announced to be eligible, you're like, really? Okay.
You're like, oh, well, yes.
Yes. And you're tempted to, anyhow. Okay, so Jack Tuttle, you may not know who that is. It doesn't really matter. He will be eligible for Indiana. The NCAA approved his waiver request.
Oh, thank God, they got Tuttle.
Again, Tuttle's eligible, going to Indiana. The NCAA approved his waiver request. Okay, so you remember he transferred to Indiana from Utah? No? You don't remember? Doesn't really matter, does it? Here's the deal. Why is everybody else being granted eligibility? When are we ever going to hear about Jordan Travis? What in the hell are we waiting on?
I feel like I'm in the deli. It says now serving, and I had number 8. And 1 through 7 are good, and they just called 9.
It does feel that way.
Hey, man.
It does feel that way, and that's a great analogy. It does feel that way. By the way, when you take the number there, they don't follow by...
They hardly ever do.
They don't ever follow the thing,
when I was growing up, that was the only thing you could do.
You swore by the number.
Now they just say, anybody?
Yeah, who's
anybody?
Next? What do you mean, who's next? That could be an argument ensuing here. That dude's been here about as long as I have, but I think I beat him by about 7 seconds. He may disagree. You're going to start a fight because you didn't go by the number system that you guys have in place, in which you take a number.
I have to say, most people are pretty good about that, though.
The number?
People,
or just conceding that you were there?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get screwed just like you don't, and they know that's no way to live. You can't do that. So I get my sandwich a few minutes faster than you. What are we doing here?
I usually turn and point to myself. If I'm first, I go, right? Like, as in I give them the look like, right? Yep. Okay. That's right. And they nod.
What would you do? See, I always look at it the other way. I feel like I could say that as well. Like, no. I think we all know I'm next, right? We all got that. What if a joker's like, no, it's definitely me. And he says it with chutzpah. He looks right at you and goes,
there's an answer for that. That's right, sir. You were next to grab the popcorn and the baked beans over there while I make my order.
Yeah.
So go ahead. They've got a great selection
today.
Isn't it
odd? One of the things you get, I don't mind. I'm really good these days at letting somebody go in front of me. So let somebody do it. So I'm going to give you an example, and it ties in perfectly since we got to go to break. So when you go to Orange Theory, This is true.
Orange Theory?
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Orange Theory Fitness, where I go at least 4 times a week, and it's working. I started out weighing 230. I now weigh 221. 220 depends. Depends. Did I eat too much the night before? But 221. And now that's confirmed because I've gone twice this week already, and 221 both days, buddy. Just like that, and 2 different times. Anyhow, when you go, they ask you if it's a big class, half of you can start on the treadmill, half of you can start on the rower or the weight room. That's what you get because you're going to be doing through different shifts, right? They got a little something for everybody at Orange Theory.
Mm-hmm.
True story. You could be lifting heavy weights or you could be running your ass off. You could be rowing on a state-of-the-art water rower. Yeah. You use 80% of your muscles when you're rowing? Crazy. Anyhow, so here's the deal. They asked people because everybody wants to start on the treadmill. They all want to start on the treadmill.
Overachievers.
I want to start on the treadmill too. I'd like to get my treadmill over with. That's the hardest thing for me. I want to start on the thing that's the hardest.
Your Laquan Treadwell.
So here's the story there. People stop doing it. They stop taking the advice of the trainers who said, listen, guys, maybe this time you start on the treadmill, maybe next time you come in, you start on the rower. Nope, everybody wanted to. So now they give us little placards. They give us little things when we come in, and that's the way it works. Yep, somebody had to screw it up for
everybody. I trusted you to be an adult.
Yep,
you can't handle this.
Nope. Now you get the card, and you go start where they tell you to start. That's the way it's going to work. Anyhow, I always want to start on the thing that I think is hardest, most difficult for me. But either way, here's what I will tell you. I'm quick to say, please, by all means, go ahead of me. You do what you need to do. Not everybody's that way. Where do you draw the line? Sandwiches, according to Tom Lang, is where you draw that line.
Well,
You're not going to let somebody go up there and get their deli meat before you are.
Well, because I don't know that they have 7 asks or 1 ask. That's important.
That is important. Orange Theory works. I go 4 times a week. The trainers are simply fantastic. I've learned a lot in a short period of time. I'm losing weight. More importantly, I'm more in a place where I can say that I'm pretty heart healthy, man. I can run. I couldn't run 4 weeks ago. I can run. I'm riding out 90-second hills, 6-minute pushes, you name it, going 38 minutes straight. And I can't wait to do it again because they're so supportive, because you're in a group, because you learn, you're never lost. It's scientifically based, and there are times to go any time of day, nighttime, morning time, lunchtime. Forget about it. You got it. Go to Orange Theory. Figure it out, orangetheory.com.
This his final season. Join all of us here at Garnet and Gold as we celebrate the farewell tour for the winningest coach in college baseball history with limited edition commemorative baseballs, t-shirts, and caps in stock right now. And while you're here, check out Nike's hot new line of FSU baseball jerseys, tees, and ball caps. Garnet and Gold with 3 locations: West Pensacola Street, Collard, and Governor Square Boulevard. If you're a Seminole, we're your store. Shop local and go Noles.
Want your office to shine like never before? Then New Century Cleaning Services is your next call. New Century Cleaning Services is celebrating 20 years in Tallahassee, partnering with businesses big and small, from universities and banks to doctors' offices and radio stations. New Century Cleaning Service is licensed, insured, and all employees are bonded. They clean 1 million square feet of commercial space per day and feature carpet treatments, floor waxing, and general office cleanup. Plus, they can supply you with paper products, soaps, and sanitizers too. To help your office step into the 21st century, call New Century Cleaning today at 894-6226 or visit newcenturycleaning.com. That's newcenturycleaning.com.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Stop by your local Ace for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Get a $5 reward for every $25 you spend on Scott's, Miracle-Gro, and Ortho products. And don't miss our neighborhood yard party this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. See product demonstrations, plus get help for all of your lawn and garden projects. Hurry in for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members at participating stores and acehardware.com through April 15th. Maximum reward of $50.
Hendrick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. Shop our huge selection and get the biggest savings of the year. Everyone wins. Visit Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
Wahoo Seafood Grill, Tallahassee's leader in fresh seafood, is located right behind the Best Western on North Monroe. Lunch specials start at $7.99. Be sure to try their award-winning house-made burger. Big lunch parties are also welcome. Wahoo Seafood Grill makes lunch specials a very affordable choice. Delivery is available and plenty of parking. Wahoo Seafood Grill. Easy access from any part of town using I-10. Visit them online at wahooseafoodgrill.com or call them today at 850-629-4059.
FSU football is returning.
Touchdown FSU!
But before their drive to build a new winning season, Doak After Dark returns with another amazing concert. Classic hits from the 90s hit the stage again as MC Hammer brings his epic throwback party.
Stop! Hammer time!
Also featuring Tone Loc and Color Me Bad, the biggest hits of a generation. See the concert after the FSU spring game Saturday, April 6th. Hammer's House Party Live. Get your tickets now at Seminoles.com.
Want a more beautiful lawn this season? The Home Depot has a few suggestions in one bag. Scott's Turf Builder Southern Triple Action, starting at just $24.99. It feeds your lawn, it weeds your lawn, and it prevents fire ants for up to 6 months. 3 of the most common lawn problems, 1 great solution. Today is the day for doing with Scott's Turf Builder Southern Triple Action, starting at just $24.99 a bag. Now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. While supplies last, continental U.S. only.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Stop by your local Ace for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Get a $5 reward for every $25 you spend on Scott's, Miracle-Gro, and Ortho products. And don't miss our neighborhood yard party this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. See product demonstrations plus get help for all of your lawn and garden projects. Hurry in for our biggest lawn and garden sale of the spring. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members at participating stores and acehardware.com through April 15th. Maximum reward of $50.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff, email. It might be time for the Jeff Cameron Show, Florida State Baseball Positive Note of the Day. I would say that Tough Love Cameron should intervene, but there's not enough tough love for that clubhouse, and I don't think it works for the entire team at once. No, I don't think for a second that 11 has forgotten how to coach or that Meade has forgotten how to coach, but they're healthy, and there's really no excuse for this sorry play. Mendoza has seen his draft stock drop, as is Parrish, obviously. Could it just be this pitching coach? Goes on, it's a lengthy email. But he notes that if we can't beat Boston College at home, how are we going to go on the road and beat Miami on the road this weekend? Well, the answer to that question would be baseball. Stuff like that happens all the time. He does go on to say that Jeff will probably get swept and nobody will bat an eye. That's not shocking. You could get swept, and you're right, not that many people. It is a rival, and they're not that good. So if we were you to lose that game just like you lost to JU last night and lost to Boston College 2 out of 3 over the weekend and then lose this series, panic buttons will be pushed. There's something else going on we don't know about. That's the simple answer to this. I don't know what it is. I don't know if the pressures of this season being Martin's last, if the exodus of certain players and maybe Mike Bell, I don't know what's lacking, but something clearly is.
They just have not found the right color and size psychotherapy couch. That's what this is. It's between the ears, and they don't have the right message. Because you don't start off that well and then crumble like we have.
It's post 6-0 loss to Florida. You're up 6-0. You fall to pieces, and all of a sudden, you've watched this thing unravel. Now, sometimes it really is just as simple as to say they don't get good starting pitching. Flowers pitched well last night. He
right,
pitched
and,
real well.
There's a
and they pieced it together. But yeah,
there's a fatigue factor with the lineup because they know they have, every night you feel like the weight of the world, and then eventually you crash.
Yeah, these things, and it is odd how quickly they can turn around. At the end of the email, he's talking about, I don't think 11 should be let go. He's not being let go. He's leaving at the end of the year. People, stop emailing me with that. He's not. This is it. This is his final season. I keep getting these emails about urging whether or not they need to make change or fire a guy. He's leaving. Voluntarily, he's leaving at the end of this year.
Gene Deckerhoff talks about that several times a day right here on this very station.
Speaking of which, final hour, forthcoming. Stay with.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Kicking It for Autism Soccer Clinic.
Hendrick. It's the one race that everyone wins. Find new roads at the first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. So start your engines, the gas, and save big. Shop our huge selection of Chevrolet cars, trucks, and SUVs. And get the biggest savings of the year. Join the race that everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
And we're back with another edition of Spring Cleaning. Today, we want to know how you save energy, water, and money during a warmer season. Caller, you're on the air. What do you do to save energy?
With the warmer temperature, I know my AC is working overtime, so I make sure to replace my AC filter once a month.
Excellent suggestion. Next caller, you're on the air.
Well, the City of Tallahassee recommends that I take advantage of their grants and loans to get more insulation in my attic. That's really going to keep my cooling costs down.
These are some great suggestions. There are lots of ways to save. Caller, you're on the air.
I reduce energy for water heating by lowering my water heater temperature and installing low-flow shower heads.
We have time for one more caller. What do you have for us?
I make sure to use my programmable thermostat to regulate the temperature in my home when I'm away.
Thank you, caller. That's all the time we have today.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities would like to help you save as much energy as you can and save money while you're at it. Visit talgov.com for more information and start saving energy today.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split 1 order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop is proud to support those who serve us daily. As a way of saying thank you, Jerry's is launching a new discount program for active and retired law enforcement, first responders, and military. Stop by and pick up your free discount card today at either of Jerry's 2 locations, one on Scherer Road or their new location on Cary Forest Parkway. Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop, online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Hendrick. It's the one race that everyone wins. The first annual Dale Earnhardt Jr. Race to 500. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC has to sell 500 cars now through April 30th. So start your engines, the gas, and save big. Shop our huge selection of Buick and GMC cars, trucks, and SUVs, and get the biggest savings of the year. Join the race that everyone wins. Visit either of our 2 Tallahassee locations or Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
At Hardee's, we change deals forever. Deals used to be a way to get rid of the unpopular stuff. Well, Hardee's thinks deals should sell the best stuff for $2.49, which is why this Hardy value serves up a juicy charbroiled bacon double cheeseburger, our hot ham and cheese, or hand-breaded chicken in our Southern-style tender sandwich, each for only $2.49. One day, historians will look back on this Hardy value as a turning point for deal variety and quality. Historians like to make a big deal out of big deals. Hardee's because it tastes better.
Offer available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating Hardee's restaurants. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Buzz Williams is the new head basketball coach at Texas A&M. He takes over for Billy Kennedy, who was fired in March after 8 seasons. Williams leaves Virginia Tech after 5 years and makes a return to A&M, where he was an assistant coach 15 years ago. The Indians signed manager Terry Francona to a 2-year extension. Francona's deal now runs through the 2022 season. Nationals shortstop Trey Turner goes on the injured list with a broken right index finger. No timetable yet for his return. Braves outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. made his major league debut less than a year ago, and he now has a new 8-year contract worth $100 million. Jason Stark of The Athletic.
On the one hand, it's $100 million. He's 21 years old, and I don't know how any of us have the right to say to a guy like him that you shouldn't accept life-changing money that'll change your life, change the lives of all your loved ones, and change generations of Acuñas for many years to come. But on the other hand, I was speculating just last week that this guy had a chance to become the first $500 million player because he was going to hit free agency so young. And so there's no doubt he left hundreds of millions of dollars on the table.
Jason Stark on Spain and Fitz. ESPN's Jordan Schultz reports the 76ers will sign free agent center Greg Monroe. Philadelphia will be Monroe's 4th team this season after Toronto, Brooklyn, and Boston. Lakers guard Lonzo Ball has filed a lawsuit against the co-founder and former manager of Big Baller brand, Alan Foster. He's suing for $2 million plus damages.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Interrupting all programs. This is a radio crash on Pirate Satellite.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. Happy Balls McWednesday, everybody. I'm Jeff. That is Tom. We are online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Woohoo! I just keep reading that quote over and over again. Kendall Briles on Seminoles offense, right where we need to be, quote unquote.
So in the top 10?
Best in the country, flinging it around the lot, dropping 34.8 points per game. A little 0.8 action with a rouge here and there. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Anything to try to drum up, right? A little bit of interest. We've talked about it off and on all week long. Probably will continue to do so. We're supposed to be hyper-focused and excited about the spring game. Can't fake it, man. Cannot fake it. Got asked that question. Took Bryce to get a haircut 2 days ago. Stranger across from me looks over, double takes, says, "Hey, are you Jeff Cameron?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Listen, love the show." I said, "I appreciate that." He goes, "Are you excited about the spring game?" I went, "No." Sucked to see the look on his face. Just all the energy just taken away. My dentist this morning. "So, how do you think the spring game's going to go?" Yeah. That's 2 for 2. It's really about 10 for 10 in the last 2 weeks. I would say this, but I don't want to give it away. My dentist apparently had one of our offensive linemen in the chair yesterday. And, that was an interesting conversation. But not that anything bad, nothing bad, just interesting to hear. I imagine, though, if you think about it, put yourself in the vantage point of a player that's been here for, say, the last 3 years.
Oh, boy, you're narrowing this down. Okay.
You can't imagine that you're overly optimistic. You probably are a little shook by right about now.
So this offensive lineman thinks we're terrible still.
No, he didn't. No, don't do that. No, that was not inferred in the conversation that I had this morning with my dentist, who was the day before talking to an FSU offensive lineman. Just rather that kid's been through a lot. And if you take it from that standpoint, I'd say that's true. If you're anybody that's been on this team for 3 years, you've seen some hell of transition. You've seen a lot of things go wrong. You've seen a 12-13 record.
Sure have. And if you go back 3 full seasons, and let's say this is your 4th as either a red shirt of some kind, or now you're straight an upperclassman, you saw an Orange Bowl win.
That's right, you did.
Man,
that's
freshman
right,
year,
you
this
did.
is, wow.
Yeah.
And we're not even doing anything around here. All right, wait till you see when we get this thing really going.
Well, yesterday, Tom, you and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. We alluded to it earlier on this show today, but for people hopping in their cars in the 5 o'clock hour, for the first time in a long time, we got some really good news regarding FSU football, and that was really cool to see. And I'm not one of these fans that gets all pissed off that it seems to be way off in the distance, because I know how quickly these things happen. But the home and home with Florida State, Georgia was a nice release to read yesterday, to get the news that non-neutral site matchup going between the hedges, huh? That's going to be fun. Athens is an awesome city. Georgia fans coming here, us going there. Yes, sir. More of that, please. Thank you. May I have another? Give me the game against Texas. Give me that matchup that we're going to get, because we need it for starters. We just need it. It's also what's right with college football. It's the way you grew up watching the game. It's as a fan, one of the things you'll love about this. That's a big deal. And Georgia's one of those teams. I can't speak for Georgia, but
he's gotten in each other's way for a national title.
Right.
I mean, they don't go mostly over the last 30 years, and we see him. It's by then, wouldn't you?
I think we're certainly headed in that direction, if not then, real soon. So yeah, I'm guessing that'll be something that, and I think most of us have wanted that. Obviously, once you make the decision to go down the road of having a playoff, you're done with the very thing that people have argued about for a long time, about how we go about the process of selecting bowls and matchups and all of that. I mean, college football has been a convoluted mess as to how they decide a champion for a very long time. At this point, okay, 8, all right. I mean, I get the argument is that you really, I guess you render the regular season to some extent impotent, but that's not completely true.
You do, but at the same time, I mean, listen, I get it. Season ticket holders would probably argue, and diehard boosters. But when you play Wake, you're playing Wake anyway, So, yeah. I mean, what does that really do to move the needle? I mean, that's when you call your friends and say, hey, I've got 4 tickets. I'm not going this weekend. We were there last weekend, but we're playing Wake. So if you want to go sit in, my 50-yard line seats for Wake, take them, no problem.
Well, Florida State has to have this, because in the odd years they get screwed with the schedule. You get nothing. You've got to have a game to fill in here that is a draw. Otherwise, I mean, you're looking Miami, you got nothing else.
Yeah, you're hoping against hope that Louisville's good or something.
Right. So really, Florida State, I think, kind of needs this. If you're looking at the difficulties with that stadium, this location, the schedule, I mean, they're living a nightmare this upcoming year. They're off of a horrible season, and what is the draw? What's the draw? I mean, it's Miami here.
The draw is how well you play weeks 1 through 3. That's it. So you're going to have late developing season ticket buys or 3-game package buys. That's what you're going to have to do like crazy over there, is flip those things after the Boise win. Offer some sort of, Boise special if you beat them in Jacksonville, or if you start out 3-0, you get the win over Virginia. You say, all right, 3-game pack includes Miami. Here you go. Pick any other 2 games. You get Miami locked in for X amount of dollars and try and capitalize on the moment. But before then, between now and then, I don't know that there's much you can do.
I can remember, you do not, I'm sure of it, because you were 4, when we played SEC teams at Doak Campbell Stadium. The last time we played a team not named Florida at home, it was 1990 out of the SEC. The home and home against LSU was a big to-do. I mean, it seems natural. It seems like something we should be doing on the regular.
Well, and I think this too, I've always been, once the college football playoff got here, I'm a proponent of 4 because I like the musical chairs effect. I like that not everybody gets in from every conference because some years certain conferences just don't belong. And the Pac-12 has been at the forefront of that conversation for some time now. But on the other hand, if an 8-team playoff opens up the ability for conferences to intermingle and have a challenge like the ACC Big Ten in football, well then, how about an ACC-SEC challenge in football? And maybe the rivalry games are separate. So you get to play a Georgia or an LSU or whatever because it's an 8-team playoff and an ACC team is most definitely going and you get 2 at-large bids plus a group of 5 deal.
Certainly hasn't hurt Clemson to play Texas A&M or Auburn or any of these other teams, Georgia. They've added that in addition to their game against South Carolina. They have ascended just fine and retained a level of dominance that shows it's completely possible, obviously. We just got to get back to where our program doesn't immediately look at an announcement like this and say, well, gosh, I don't know. That makes it that much more difficult for us to get into the college football playoff because usually you're looking at games like that from the standpoint of if you feel that way, you're looking at the game like that from a standpoint of inferiority. When we're dominant, when we're 2013 or 1999 or 1993 or any of those years where we were vying for a national championship or 14 consecutive top 4 finishes or whatever, you looked at that game as a chance to continue dominance over prominent programs and add another to the ledger. It wasn't, oh, no, I don't know if we can navigate that. And when I watch Clemson and when they schedule the A&Ms of the world or the Georgias of the world or any of these games, I always think, they're not scared. They think they're going to win the game, and they will. They'll win the game. We just got to get back to that place, and certainly before 2027. I'd love to believe. Yeah, that has to happen sooner rather than later, to where we can play games like this, and we're not really worried about the match.
It's funny you say that because when I saw 2027, I said, "Well, it's probably enough time. We'll have been good again by that point."
But that's my point. I brought all the things I just set up partly because of that, because I know where we're at collectively, mentally. We are a beaten down bunch, and I know how many of our fans saw that announcement and went, well, we got about 7-8 years to get it together. What the hell?
Well, we may be bad again, but I would bet between now and then
gone through
we'll at least have been good for a couple of years.
Yesterday, the question was, will Willie Taggart be the head coach when we play Georgia?
Oh, the odds are no. There's probably, a 15, 20% chance, even if he succeeds here, even if he turns this thing around.
Where would he go? This is his dream job.
Things happen, man. I don't know.
I don't know what things are going to happen other than not getting this turned around and getting fired. If he's got it humming.
Well, he could win and win decently and still be fired in 6-7 years. Let's say he flips it around and he goes, it's like the Les Miles plan without the BCS title, of course. But he could go flirt with the playoff or whatever and do that for a couple of years, and then it turns back down. You could still have a window of 3 years of success, and then we're back on the downturn, and they say, all right, well, you've been here for 8 years, 9 years, that's the end of it.
Yeah, it's interesting to bring that point up, though, because I think if he gets it turned around and he survives, he has a stay of execution, he is able to hang in there for the next 2 years, my thought is he'll be here in 2027. He'll be coaching that game because at that point you will have shown signs. So this year you'd have to go 7-5 at worst, 8-4 or better in all likelihood to garner some momentum. Then what, 9 wins the following year, something like that? By the time you're in a position to maybe make a run of winning the conference, say at least the Atlantic Division, we're already to 2021, 2022.
You're looking at Sims' sophomore year. Even if he, we don't know if he's good, up to the hype.
Right.
Will he live up to it?
I think he's going to, by the way. I've got a real good hunch on this kid. It is just that, you call it, just looking back at the way the elite players were when they got here, the things that they talked about, the things that they wanted to do, just the way they expressed themselves. Even Jameis was this way to some extent. Now, I know Jameis was much more heralded than Sims is currently. I got a good feeling about that kid.
Well, give a chance for the grades from the 7-on-7s and the next year of high school tape to come in and see where he stands at that point. Sure.
I feel good about that kid.
He got the invite to the Elite 11, and he's been a 7-on-7.
It's all ascending in the right direction.
For the hype train. I'm not talking about just because he's good at 7-on-7 means he's going to be great. I'm talking about just he's a 3-star before all of this stuff, but watching about 6 months' time, he'll be a blue chipper. Easily.
I think that's accurate, and I think he's going to be a very good player. I really do. And the more you talk to people who watch him play in person and talk to these coaches and evaluators, we've got something to hold on to there. But we got a little time before we get there.
Can't mess it up,
no.
To use a clean word.
Do not. That's correct, because there's the guy you've been aching to have in that locker room. It's going to be him. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
taken a huge hit, I'd say, over the last 2 years. Talking about Phil Mickelson. On and off the course. But this story, if true, could certainly salvage all of that, Tom. This would make us a fan. This would be something we'd go, okay, Phil, you're back in good graces, even if momentarily. Also, I'm on to something here. The more you listen to any of these, there's a lot of very specific podcasts out there. Everybody knows that now, which is good. You can find niche things you're into, and there's an expert on it or somebody who's steeped in knowledge. And there are a lot of really good golf podcasts. And I don't know if you know. I know you're not a big podcast guy, Tom, but there are a lot of good ones.
I think it's just I listen to a lot of radio all the time, so
I get it. So my thing is, what I'm noticing in many of these golf podcasts, whenever the subject of Phil Mickelson comes up, invariably, the very knowledgeable former player, current player, hosts who has former players and current players on, you name it, they always have to kind of talk about the public's perception of Phil and the reality of Phil and how he likes to throw his weight around behind the scenes and that he has influence over the USGA and all this other stuff, that the rumors about rough being cut back in certain courses directly correlated with Phil saying he won't play the course ever again if they don't do it. And just there's a lot of resentment towards him and his constant complaints about course conditions and about people hosting tournaments. And remember how pissed off he was at the U.S. Open, hit a moving ball? I mean,
he was a child.
Yeah. And then he was upset about the Ryder Cup. A lot of things, right? But again, if this is true, I got to give him real credit for this. So, country music star, I'll take their word for it. I don't know who Jake Owen is.
I've heard this story.
It's a good story. Mm-hmm. If it's real, it's a really good story. It's the third time I read it now for confirmation purposes, but this one was only a couple hours ago in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Jake Owen's a popular country singer, I take it.
He's a Noel fan, I think.
That's good.
Well, no, remember we were on the roof one time and we...
oh, that's right. He came up there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was up there. Didn't he? Oh, yeah. Oh, I know where you're going. Yeah, yeah.
No farther.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
That's him? Okay. So that's Jake Owen, popular with the Pepsi commercial crowd. So he did not like the match that Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods played in the winner-take-all $9 million payday called The Match that you could have got a pay-per-view. Remember that? That was just last year.
Yeah, we were watching. We were up at CP for that for a Friday show, and people showed up for it.
It was held in Las Vegas, and it was basically made for gambling. I mean, that's all that was. And there were a lot of people doing a lot of great gambling that day. Hole to hole, putt to putt, shot to shot. You know, if you're at your local bar and you're into that thing, man, there you go. $5 he makes this putt, $10 he doesn't, whatever it is.
It was kind of a bizarre day to be at a sports bar because Florida State was playing LSU in the off-season tournament at the same time. So those two things were on concurrently, and you had different roars at the bar for different reasons. But you wouldn't think in November Florida State basketball and Tiger Phil in a two-person match would compel a lot of people, but it did.
The problem was the match pretty well sucked. Both players were terrible.
God.
Both guys really blew multiple opportunities. The golf was poor by their standards.
Nobody won that match.
Right. Phil did, but Tiger didn't, help himself at all.
Oh, my God.
So a day after the match was Jordan Spieth's wedding, which Mickelson attended, and so did Jake Owen. Owen recently told the F-O-R-E, Foreplay podcast. You see what they did there, Tom? That he ran into Mickelson at the wedding and that he made it clear that he thought the match didn't come off his build. He didn't think the match was very good. And I assume, tongue-in-cheek, said he should get his money back. Quote, so I walked over to him. I said, hey, Phil, you owe me effing $29.99 for wasting 4 hours of my life with the crappiest golf I've ever seen. If he said that, good on you, Jake Owen.
Yeah, okay, so Jake Owen gets a point.
Yeah. Mickelson responded by pulling out a wad of cash. I won 90,000 of these yesterday. Take this $100 bill and go F yourself, and walked away. if he in fact did do that to Jake Owen, Phil, you're back in good graces. Well done, sir. Throwing 100 bones at a guy's face while dropping down with that after being approached in that manner. I side with Phil. You're at a wedding.
I think it's a good response, but unfortunately, that's not the squeaky clean image that Phil has worked so hard to craft over the years. In fact, as much as I did not like Tiger in the moment,
at least Tiger
is who he is. There is no two faces to Tiger. When he's swearing over a golf ball,
yes,
and they continue to replay it on CBS 4 times over, and that's on the Thursday at the Masters. Well, if he's alone, golfing by himself, he's going to do the exact same thing. Whereas Phil's going to nod, do that goofy little nod grin like he's a ventriloquist doll, and give the thumbs up to the people. The thumbs up, everybody. Thank you,
the politician.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, when he's golfing by himself on a Tuesday, that's not who he is. Not even close.
Well, and that seems to be the feeling amongst players, is that there's no denying the greatness. There's no denying that he's a Hall of Famer and one of the best, 50 players of all time. There's no denying
probably 20.
Yeah, I mean, he is who he is, an elite all-time great golfer on the tour. But he is resented, and it's interesting because Phil has a ton of fans. It's Masters Month. We're all excited to watch the Masters, and he's a big part of that. He's hit iconic shots. I mean, I when you go to a PGA Tour event, you watch Phil, you see a guy who's mastered the interaction with the fans. In the many times that I've seen, I say many, at least 5 times that I've seen Phil interact with the crowd at a tournament I was at, he never breaks character. It is unbelievable. He always walks up to kids, always hands golf balls over, will stop and take a picture, quip with the dad or something like that. He's really good at timing it just right for when he needs people to get behind him. I mean, he's really good at it. It just appears that is not something that reveals who he really is to the players on the tour, to the officials on the tour, to anybody associated with golf, the commentators, you name it. I find it fascinating because ordinarily I like really complex people like that because that's who most of us are. I mean, not everybody can play the game that way, but at the same time, I do want my guys to be flawed and certainly emotional in the same ways that we are on the golf course, just because the game elicits that.
Oh, sure. I've got no problem with you being huff and gruff on the golf course. I mean, sometimes I am. But then once the round's over, you turn back into a human being. And
right.
Not that you're not a human being on the course, but you get my point. You can be a little tough, a little terse when you're in a match and there's something on the line. But then once it's over, the match is over, and we all go to the 19th and have a good day. But I will say something about Phil. I do think that the JCS PR firm, if we could offer an honorary PhD, we would offer it up to Phil Mickelson. He's one of the few that have earned it because he goes to the school of what you should do, even when you're not kind of that guy when the lights are off and the cameras aren't on.
I am amazed that most recently, all the goodwill that happened 2-3 years ago with Sergio, he's lost it again. So there's a guy that just doesn't get it. He's 39 years old now. What are we doing here, man? What are you doing destroying golf courses, getting kicked out of tournaments, doing, yelling at Kuchar because you missed a 1-foot putt and picked up and didn't, what are we doing?
Yes. The clip of him over in Europe or wherever, Dubai, wherever that tournament was that Brooks ripped him for.
Flipping out on the sand and going crazy?
Sergio, you need to go see somebody.
Like, that can't happen
That
ever.
can never
happen.
However, personal opinion. Now, I didn't play on the tour, and I'm sure there maybe Trey would have a much different opinion. It's a 1-foot damn putt. It's good, man. That putt's good. We're moving on to the next freaking hole.
Well, the problem
Kuchar
was
being petty. He's a little tight with,
Yeah, but that Kuchar was already gone. Like, once the putt was missed, he had already walked away, right? He would have given it to him. It's that he didn't ask, and he just slapped at it and missed. And they went back a hole and a half later to revisit the subject, and he's pleading with Kuchar while Kuchar's about to hit a shot to give him that hole.
It would have been a half, that hole.
Yeah.
Kuchar ended up winning
to give
outright.
him he wins outright.
Or tie now, which is stupid.
Yeah, I don't. It's that he didn't follow.
Of course, yes. I'm not saying Sergio's right. I'm
and
just
he just
saying
never does. He just never does. That's the problem. I think what Kuchar did there reveals how the rest of the tour feels about Serge.
it could be, but
You know?
it's still like if it's a 6-inch 1-foot putt. I mean,
Well,
it's match play. I mean, what are we doing?
I completely agree with you. The only thing I'd say about that is if he was standing there and didn't give it to him, that's a real problem. He was already halfway down the fairway.
If his hands are tied by the rules, it's one thing. But if he has leeway in that moment, even if it's a hole and a half later to say, it's good, no problem. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get the sense that people on the tour feel that way. I think you and I do because I agree with you. It was interesting to listen to people comment on behalf of the two players and say Serge is in the wrong.
It doesn't make Sergio right.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that Sergio did nothing wrong.
Plus, he ends up losing convincingly.
Sure.
Anyhow, so it doesn't really
Because he got domed up. It's like when Tiger slammed his clubs.
It's. I'm still laughing about.
I was actually adjusting my fly. What that sounds like.
He was so mad about that all that time later. It was crazy, and. There were people standing by where Sergio was, and there's a lot of people said they didn't hear anything. He's got rabbit ears.
Yes, he's like Joe West.
Finds a way. Always. But, Phil, you get a point for this. Telling Jake Owen to go F himself and flipping him $100 is it's a +1.
Especially when he challenges you.
It's a +1.
When he steps to you.
I won 90,000 of these. What a life to have that kind of money. That is FU money.
It is.
Literally.
And I think also, but the sad thing for Phil, even though he's not sad, it's $9 million, and he's right, is that he wanted that so much more than Tiger. You could tell that whole event long.
It meant a lot to him.
He's like the little dog, and it's like, all right, I got this little morsel of a bone. Because compared to what Tiger's made and what they both made, $9 million, I mean, that's great. It's significant. But that's like you and me playing for $500.
Right.
It's not life-changing money.
No,
not to them.
$500.
But it was so important to Phil to get that one.
Can you imagine, too, by the way, winning $9 million and having that not be a big deal? Like, that is I was listening to Le Batard today talk about how there's a disconnect with professional athletes, and so often they have a hard time being empathetic to a person's cause, whether it's a contract negotiation or whatever it might be, because the money's cartoonish. In this case, that's what you're talking about. He won $9 million, and literally it means nothing to either one of them.
Yeah, don't even look at his tour earnings in his career, which are sizable. They're gigantic.
It's insane.
That doesn't even hold a candle to the
endorsements
for the apparel or KPMG or Callaway or any of it.
Well, when I found out that guys get $24 million as a sponsorship for just to have the bag.
What do you think Phil commands? To wear those ridiculous long-sleeve button-downs.
He better get more than $24 million.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Should mention, real good show comes after this one. Just a continuation of greatness all throughout the afternoon, huh? I got to tell you something funny just that we got on our ESPN Facebook page. I get these notifications, we both do, when the ESPN page gets a hit. And just my personal Facebook, I don't ever check it. Like, literally, I can go weeks and weeks and weeks without checking it. Occasionally, somebody will say, hey, I posted a picture of us from 20 years ago. You should go look at it or something. I'll do that. Or I'll throw something up with the kids if they have an event. That's it anymore,
No,
right?
I'm much the same with the Facebook,
That's the way it works, right?
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are that way, and that's probably a good thing. But one thing I noticed is, like, on the phone, it pops up because several of us have control of the ESPN Facebook page, and it'll just pop up that there's a notification. Well, over the years, I've learned to just completely ignore that. But occasionally it'll happen right when I'm about to use my phone, so I'll see what somebody wrote. I'll tell you in a second.
I know. I saw it from last night.
Tell me it didn't make you laugh.
It made me laugh.
I laughed a lot. We can say it aloud. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, but it was funny, and this person's disdain for Feinbaum equaled ours. It's what it is.
Got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you said. A little filler. They were specific about
the old 7 to 10 p.m.
Yeah, they were like, man. It was good. It made me laugh. I saw it right when it came up, and I laughed. And I almost texted you, but I thought, Tom probably saw it and probably laughed just like I'm laughing right now. It was good. I like that kind of interaction. Thank you for the feedback, sir. You certainly let it be known how you feel about old Paul. All right, let's. I should mention the show that is coming up next, and it's not Paul Feinbaum. It's a much better show. It's the Front Row Knowles, and it will be on for an hour as it is wont to do, and that means Tim Linnefelt, the great Tim Linnefelt, will join them, and Lonnie Alameda will join him too, the softball coach who is really fun to talk to and obviously very successful and.
Well, and they were capitalizing on this week because she threw out the first pitch last night at Hauser before the FSU-JU debacle. And
well, it's a one-run loss in 11 innings. That's actually, we're getting better.
I suppose.
Yeah, we're hanging in there, Tom.
I don't know. Have we checked on Millar today?
Well, I think now he's making it. Well, he's on his way to Disney World. He's taking a few days off, so he's okay. He's all right.
He needed to because the JU thing. He had to leave town when they arrived.
But the JU curse is not a JU curse this year. It's the opponent curse.
It's just like
it's just we're playing
the
baseball.
Game.
Yeah.
Oh, first pitch happened. Ooh. These next 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4.
They're playing tonight, are they? Looks like another loss headed our way.
They were doing a cool thing today, though, Florida State softball was. And I saw this, and I thought, if we didn't have this job, which I like every day of the week, twice on Sunday sometimes, maybe I would take a half day and take them up on this offer because they had a Florida State softball fan bus promotion. I saw it on Twitter.
I like the fan bus.
And so what they did was they offered, there were 5 seats left on it. That's when I saw it earlier today. And for $75, it gets you a ticket to the game. You hop on the bus, you park over there by the stadium, and they get you food after the game is over.
Let me clarify this. You're on the team bus?
You're traveling with the team, I guess. I don't know.
Oh. Wow, that is something.
Maybe they leave a little bit different time. I don't know.
I would think I'd have my players. I would prefer to have my players removed from the fans.
Well, what I'm saying is it might be a caravan, or maybe they left earlier.
You're following the bus over to the game.
I mean, the game's an hour and a half. Everybody's going to strike out anyway against Megan King, so it's all good.
You're damn right.
So you just show up, you score a run, and we're done. We win the game.
There you go.
But for $75, you get to travel Gainesville. It's a quick game. It's not going to be a 4 or 5 hour
No,
affair.
softball is moving right along.
They feed you. They give you a ticket. You come back, get in your car, you go home. It's probably, like 11:30, midnight? That's not bad. You know what?
And you support the team, yeah.
And you support a program that's doing some things. Maybe next year it's something worth planning on.
Listen, they won me over a year ago, albeit they won the whole damn thing. But just the brand itself, in terms of the sport, has improved. It's enjoyable to watch. And they played with a love and passion for the game that was infectious. And the game is so much quicker. I'm not one of these people that bemoans the length of baseball games, but I have to admit, if I'm going to invest in something that's not my favorite sport, I don't need it prattling on for 5 hours. And softball's not my favorite sport. I like it. I like this group. I like Coach Alameda. I want to see them continue to do well. You're right. Supporting that, going there, in and out in 2 hours, yeah, that's not a bad deal at all.
No, that sounds like just a good, it could be a date night. It could be something to go with your friends. I mean, That's creative. Maybe we should do things like that more often if we got road trips.
Interesting to note the creativity. Right now, Florida State, depending on the sport, is having to be very creative. I mean, I would argue that without question, if you're thinking about the spring game, for example, and you're tracking level of interest in the spring game this Saturday or not, look, all they can really do right now is they're trafficking in hope. That's what you have to sell. You're trafficking in hope.
It's like a time-released hope because they're not really pushing it during practice. They're just like, all right, it's going to be better, and you're not going to see it until we do the spring game, but just hang in with us. We'll see you in about 3-4 weeks.
What do you think of this? I get that there's a building animosity amongst certain media members towards Florida State football. It's not a personal thing. It's that they don't have access.
Spearheaded by Ira, yes.
Well, but I understand if you don't have access, it makes it hard to do your job.
Sure.
And so it also makes it hard for anybody who wants to follow the program to get information, to glean something that is positive to latch onto. And if you're trafficking in hope, you may want to traffic in hope. You may want to give something as opposed to what you give Seminoles.com, which is, hey, the offense played okay at times, the defense played okay at times, and I thought they both continued to fight. That's not anything that really anybody's going to latch on to.
I do think it's a little unnatural for them because I know Bryles was made available to the call-in show or whatever show it was.
Right, yeah.
It's not a call-in show anymore.
Coach's show.
The Coach's show. And, for me, at this point, I think enough time has passed that you could probably turn them over to the media and they're not going to bombard them with some questions like, the questions that were surrounding the hire back in December. I think they've done a good job of, if you want to wait out the storm, I think they've waited it out. There are football-specific questions to ask Coach, and you could direct the media to do so and trust the media to do so. But overall, our jobs are different. I'm not a beat reporter.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it.
So for my purposes, I don't really care what goes on at practice anyway because it's spring practice. As long as people don't get hurt.
As long as people don't get hurt. I do want to know about emerging stars, in particular at positions of profound weakness like offensive line and linebacker, of which apparently there is a rising star amongst the ranks with 5 interceptions this spring. By the way, I can't decide if it's good that a freshman linebacker has 4 or 5 interceptions in spring, or is that...
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's like
I don't know if
Brian Burns is unblockable. Okay, why? Because that's whenever there's a freak from here on out, like Terry is a special category. But let's say you have a freak in the trenches, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
The question is going to be why. Why is that guy a freak in practice? I don't trust it. You got to see the games. This is a special circumstance. The only thing I really wanted to know was how does Kendall Bryles, how does Randy Clements run a practice? Once you get the answer to that, which we should have the answer to on Saturday, even though it's a game setting, you get a little bit of an idea of how they handle things. Beyond that, I mean, what else can we glean? What else would actually give you concrete evidence of feeling positive or negative before we actually play and line up and play a game?
It is a weird time, man. I remember I've had to think a lot about it this week as we get closer and closer to this game. I can remember, obviously, in the back half of the early 2000s, if you will, like 2006 and 7 and 8, I can remember being sort of that crestfallen, loyal soldier heading over there to the spring game thinking, man, nothing's really going to change. We're just not. We just don't matter, and that feeling is a pervasive one right now in too many sports that are supposed to be 1-2 on the rungs of the ladder in football and baseball, and it's tough to marry those two. When you have that going on, man, that's just not good. It leads to a deadness.
Which is why Lonnie Alameda is coming on next, for the spring game week version of Front Row Knowles.
Think about that. Think about that. Yeah, and those guys are connected. I mean, connected in the sense that both of them work for the university.
I'm sure they're talking plenty of football, but if it was football fever, I would think there'd be a player or a coach from the football team.
But I guess back to what I originally asked because I didn't let you answer it. What do you think of the approach? Because I can see it both ways. My opinion of what Willie's doing here is obviously reacting to having been burned, and he's responsible for that, but having been burned going too far the other way last year. I mean, they were a PR machine last year. They were really at the top of their game. They were the antithesis of what Jimbo had become over the final 2 years. They really did a lot to rally the troops, to raise money, to get people emotionally and financially invested in the program again. And so the very thing that couldn't happen once you do all of that did happen, and now they've reacted to it, which is to say, we don't need to say a thing. We understand it's a show and prove year, and we're not even going to insult your intelligence by even let's say you saw something at practice. Say you're on this coaching staff, and there are tangible day-to-day things that you witness that are real progress that ordinarily you'd be excited to tell your fan base about. A young player taking a big step forward, a veteran player taking a leadership role, the relative health and or strength collectively of a segment, whatever it might be, right? You have some things that surely have gone right in this spring that they are very excited about. But they're pretty much staying mum across the board. And I think that is a direct, obviously, reaction to having gone too far the other way a year ago and then having that disaster.
Well, my opinion of it is I can understand where they're coming from because everything will be spun to a negative when it comes to consumption by the fans.
Yeah.
So they say, you know what, let's just shut it out and
keep it
let's
completely
just focus
closed
on
off.
football. Besides, we've got a lot of work to do here. Like, I can get that. But there's two things that irk me specifically. Number one, that doesn't mean you don't have to, embargo the assistant coaches. Why? To what end? What benefit is that? Mm-hmm. Let the media ask the assistant coach, do what you did in the fall. I mean, those practices were largely closed, but at least you got coordinators, and so you could get an idea and let those guys speak for themselves and stand out for themselves. Let's hear from Barnett once a week. Let's hear from Kendall. Let's hear from Coach Clements and Dugans for at least an introductory press conference that's not on Seminoles.com. And the second thing that irks me is Willie did something that Jimbo did last week, and I was like, don't do that. Don't you patronize people. It insults our intelligence. Mm-hmm. He told the media, I really wish you guys could come out and see practice because we got some good things. Screw you, man.
Yeah, you can't
do that. Completely up to you. That's completely up to you to let the media stand in for the entirety of a practice. I get why you don't do it, but don't turn around at
and
a
pretend
media
like
availability.
you're hamstrung. Yeah.
Like I really wish you guys could get in here.
If they'd
That's
only
ridiculous.
Let me out. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah. No. Let's do probables. Okay.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Yeah, tons of day games this afternoon, so not a lot tonight when you get home unless you're doing the right thing and you're watching Tom's Mets and Jeff's Pirates. Because you got both of those all-time great clubs taking the field tonight. In fact, let's start with the Mets and the Marlins. 6-10. Jacob deGrom, I take it to beer. Fresh off a 10 strikeout performance from Jacob deGrom.
That's correct. Opening day victory.
Trevor Richards goes for the Marlins.
Mets had no business winning last night. Found a way. Scored 5 in the first and held on for dear life.
I didn't see a second of it.
They were on base every inning. Every inning.
I do know that you're 4-1. Is that correct?
Yeah, not going to hand that back.
Cardinals, Pirates. Speaking of handing things over, the Pirates did to the Cardinals 2 days ago. Pirates are in a very special set of circumstances from a scheduling standpoint. Play a game, take a day off. Play a game, take a day off. Play a game, take a day off. We're playing our 4th game. There's teams out here with played 8 games. What are we doing? Anyhow, Mikolas goes for the Cardinals. Let's hope he sucks like he did. Let's hope he sucks like he did in his first start. He was awful. Jameson Taillon goes for the Buccos. We got the Cubs and the Braves. There you go, Bravos. Getting that first win of the year last night against the Cubs in grand fashion. John Lester goes for the Cubs. Julio Teheran going for the Braves. We got the Astros and the Rangers. Garrett Cole. 10 strikeouts in his first start of the year, of course. Unbelievable. Mike Minor goes for the Rangers. We got the Red Sox and the A's. Nathan Eovaldi going for the Bo Sox. Marco Estrada going for the Athletics. By the way, not that they need to panic or anything, but the Red Sox are 1-5. And fresh off a World Series win, they're setting records for futility to start a year the following season.
Yes, the first 4 games, starting pitchers allowed more home runs than any 4 pitchers to start a season in history. It was 11 in 4 games by the starting pitchers alone.
Yeah, well, Chris Sale got
row-arced.
Yeah.
So, but think about that. In an era where, pitchers only go 5-6 innings, they're setting records for amount of home runs given up in their outing.
I still think that roster plays, but one thing I would note, the Rays won 90 games a year ago and just missed. If you're one of the big ones, the Yankees or the Red Sox, don't fool around. That Rays team is good. They're going to win, close to 90 games again, if not more.
And once again, raising my hand, Ramon Laureano fan club.
Right here. It's you?
Oh, the East Coast edition. Yes, 11 outfield assists, 55 games into his career.
Wow.
And they're not like, sleeping on him because he's got a little arm.
No.
They're being shocked by him because he's got a giant
arm. Giants, Dodgers. Speaking of Giants, Derek Holland still in the league. Ross Stripling goes for the Dodgers. And that, my friends, is the late night game and a look at those that shall rise out of the up. And where has the time gone? We'll have Front Row Knowles for you next, followed by Braves baseball. Stay tuned, everybody. Good work out of you, Tom. Good work out of you, Matthew. Be well. We'll talk to you tomorrow.